Where'd they go? I got headband and grape kush. That's a cliched name. Headband.
So you think that the healthcare systems are just gonna get backed up to nothing, basically?
Oh yeah, if
Sorry.
it's what's going on, if it happens to us like it's happening in Italy, and they
Yeah,
project us
my
to
correction.
exponentially surpass them, because America is so huge of a populous sector, it's going to be in Italy right now. They have the ICUs backed up out to the hallways. Like there's people in the fucking just being rolled out into the hallway because they can no longer fit people in beds anymore. There's people that
Damn.
are being left face down to just die, and then they just wheel them over to where they can't deal with them right now. Like it's
Yeah. Damn, that must suck for all those people.
like whatever it is, the system is now taking the full brunt of this panic, and that's what is going to cause the real chaos.
Yeah. Alright. So we're on the pot. We're live now, by the way. Just so you know.
Well,
So
what do
what's
we
up?
know? Just
So
push
what's up?
around
This is the Genuine Podcast, and today we're gonna talk about
the
if it's the end
apocalypse.
of yeah the apocalypse. Is this the end? Is this the end of the world? And if it is, well, who really cares?
I feel fine. Get off that beat.
Do 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 do. Fucking
It wouldn't even matter if it was because what I think is kind of funny about it is most people are like, "You mean we're gonna die?" It's like you're gonna die anyway.
it's
Like
just
most
a
people don't believe
yeah.
it,
It's just the matter of time of when you die.
and it's not even trying to spark
What?
fear or panic. It's like if people listen to this and you want to get panicked because you hear some other people talking about coronavirus, which is
I
that's what
don't know.
everybody's talking about right now. Of course, we're going to talk about it. Like, then I'm sorry that you need a safe space, but we're going to talk about it because they wouldn't tell you if the world was ending. They wouldn't tell you if this was it. Trump's not going to come on TV like in the movies and be like, "Good luck and Godspeed." And he coughs as like the
And God be
broadcast
with
goes out,
you.
and yeah, it's like they're
God
not.
be with
They
you.
wouldn't. They would not let you know that this is it. They wouldn't let you know that we've crossed the Rubicon on this thing because that would be pandemonium. That would be absolute. Everything shuts down.
Chaos.
Complete economic like disruption and pause, which is kind of already happening with a lot of places. Like the world is. I mean, they just canceled TennoCon. I saw the notice last night on Warframe, and they're like, TennoCon goes full digital 2020.
Oh wow. They canceled TennoCon, damn. But they're canceling everything. Like cause I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it too is like I don't know. I
Who
feel
knew
like
cancel culture would be the thing that delivers us?
yeah.
But how many things are they always constantly? I mean, I remember back in two, 2014, whenever they were
Yeah.
scaring us with Ebola. I remember back in fucking
They were telling us it
2012,
was
early
the end of the world.
2013, when they were telling us that the nuclear reactors in Fukushima had melted down and all the radiation is coming over here now, and within years your children are going to be web-feeded mutants.
Oh
And
wow.
nothing's really ever happened with that. No one really seems to care anymore. I remember with fucking
Yeah.
everything from, at least in my lifetime, it was originally, well, the Big Bang was 9/11, and then we had the whole, was it the fucking economic fallout 2008, and then we did the big bailout of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in 2000, I think that was 2007, and then there was that which caused the economic recession, and we go from there to like 2010 and 2011 and 2012 when it was like, oh, the fucking Mayan calendar says the world's gonna end in 2012 because that's when the Mayans stopped the calendar.
Yeah,
And
it's
then some
very
people still
hard
believe that
to
we got it wrong and it's not 2012 yet. If there's the whole, uh, is it the phantom time theory? I think where people believe that if you don't count from zero, then we actually are at the year 1000 and not 2000. So it would be it'd be 1020 right now, 1020 rather than 2020.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I remember all the time people were talking about the end of the world. I don't know. I feel like it's not. It's the end of
Every cult
something.
that's ever predicted the end of the world, they've got it right because you get all your followers together and you let them know that the end is coming, and then it's coming. Repent soon. It is near. And then once you get everybody together and they're on board and you get it wrong, you get the whole congregation together at the church and you blow that motherfucker to kingdom come. So the world did end. You were right. There is an actual cult that did that. He was like, no, it's actually on this date, and then he blew up the church.
And then it's just the end of the world for them.
You see, your world ended. I was not wrong. Wasn't lying. Did I lie to you? You guys are just like floating into the fucking Mardell and the Mystic, and you just
A lot of time, crazy cult people just do shit like that for notoriety,
You
and
can guarantee that there's already cults springing up around Corona, man. There's people that are licking the shrines in China where people gather at mass like to pray and things, and they're licking the holy shrines and they want to spread the disease. And there's people that are supposedly getting on boats and just traveling out of their borders and across the world
to
try
go
to spread
kill
this fucking
people.
thing.
Yeah, just
Because they're
they
devotees to the Corona, they're devotees to the end. They believe that this is like
if they help the end of the world, then fucking then the
there are
end of
people
the
that probably just want to see the world burn.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, if
it's
I
a
feel like
cliche line everybody says, but really there are men like that.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't blame someone for wanting to stop the end of the world, but
Me bom pong.
next thing you know, people fucking screaming. I've yet to see anybody
It's not gonna
really
be-
look like they're panicked yet, you know? But like online there's a bunch of panic.
Oh, there's a lot of pictures. There's a lot of grocery stores getting emptied out. There's security
Oh,
guards
yeah,
and toilet
no.
paper aisles. There's.
I was at
but again,
I
whether
was
it's
at
real or not, the panic is
Lowe's
real,
and
and that's what counts.
I went to Lowe's today and there was no toilet paper in there at all.
Yeah. People don't even think about it. It's like whatever is going on, you now have to ration your toilet paper. So shit is changing. The world is getting affected by this. Like it's not nothing. I went like 2 weeks ago, almost a month ago, and I went grocery shopping. I got a bunch of beans and water and toilet paper, and then that was it. And there was no one in the stores. It was like I went when there was nothing going on because I knew that this was going to happen. Because whether or not the disease is real, the panic is real, the fear is real, and that is going to start stressing the system. And that's where the pandemonium really comes from.
Yeah. And then what
They
happened?
don't want people to panic, but people are going to panic when they tell them, like when the World Health Organization and the CDC is like, look, don't panic, but you should probably be prepared because this is going to affect your life. Look, don't panic, but 60 to 70% of Americans are going to come in contact with this. It's almost like it's like, do you want people to panic? Is that, and most people think they do. Most people think that this is all just a ploy to hurt Trump's economy because the left has nothing else. I mean, like I said, if it's going to get as bad as it is, and if the healthcare system is backed up, all they're going to be asking people to do on top of like, hey, fuck you, whitey, and how about you fucking not have white children, you fucking white supremacist, and hey, if we get a bunch of illegal immigrants to come in here, do you want to also pay for their healthcare? And it's like, can you imagine if at that point the healthcare system is so backed up, so like booked beyond, like you're not going to get in for any elective, like your elderly grandma or your grandfather has to get some just minute procedure done, and they can't because everything is so just
backed up. Yeah. Everybody's so
they could
busy.
die. And they'll either maybe have to wait a month, a few months, but they could die, and nobody really seems to understand the gravity of, like, people don't think of exponentials. People don't think of the long run. They're just like, oh, it's fine. Everything's fine. We have smartphones and porn, and we have 4K TVs. We're in the future. There's no going back. You can't go back once you've gone forward.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What I honestly believe that it is, I believe it's a biological attack from China. Like they
I
sent.
think it's just that all these guys have money and they're all out there trying to fuck each other over and trying to make sure that no one else fucks them over and gets their empire's money or gets their syndicate's money. So you would have people like, look, I want to develop a virus. I'm going to put like 10 bill into developing a virus, and then there's other countries developing their virus, and eventually one of you idiots is going to slip up and be like, you mean it got out?
Yeah.
And then at that point, that thing doesn't care who made it. That thing doesn't care. It's just a fucking virus, a superbug doing what it does. But the one bright side from this is that people are this is going to shift the world. This is going to bring the pendulum swinging back definitively to the right, because this is going to make us realize how fucked we are that we made ourselves reliant on any outside manufacturer for our medical goods, for our pharmaceuticals, for our like just store-based products that are things that China mostly manufactures and everything is made in China. I mean, they've already threatened us, like, look, we make all your medical supplies, so cut your shit or we'll kill you and we won't ship anymore and we'll ensure that you all start to die. Because the only shit that we have, the only medicinal remedies, the only things that come from there, they come from China.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would start a fucking world war. And then at that point, if there's a pandemic and if people are getting sick and if the hospitals are getting backed up and it's like, now we're going to start a war.
Oh no, war will never change though. That's the thing. If anything, they're probably gonna start some ridiculous ass war over this.
But what it's going to do is that people are going to realize that, like, we need to stop being reliant on an outside manufacturer. We need to bring real, honest nationalism back to our economy. We need to fucking have a secure border because people don't understand. People are now going to understand that, you mean borders aren't just a racist thing? It's actually because fucking disease and terrifying, unforeseen
and
consequences
poverty
that can happen
and fucking
when the world starts mixing and dysgenics and the lowering of the national IQ and like. But this whole thing with the virus, it's going to just make people see, like, and you and all the Democrats, they want everybody to come in here. They want to have just free, open borders. Like, and if you say anything otherwise, you're a fucking Nazi piece of shit. It couldn't be maybe that you have family that you care about and you couldn't give a fuck about anybody else and you die to defend them. And if you die, then it was a life well spent and it was a good day. But they don't understand that. They think you're just a racist. They think the only reason why you'd want to have a border, why you don't want to have a fucking wall around your country. I mean, Israel has a wall. They're very safe. They're, like I said, they're very safe right now. They closed their border the moment this shit went down. Like, and they're not going to have any talk of like, oh, that's racist or that's
because they don't care.
Judgmental, you guys could, like, yeah, you're not,
because they're in the right to other people. To them, they are the right.
So they're fine.
the rights.
Fucking, it's basically like, we need any help in this, and they get it. Just like for Israel, it's like, yo, Israel, this is getting bad. Well, what are we gonna do? And they're like, new phone, who dis?
Yeah. And next thing you know, fucking.
But again, even on the end of the world, you can't point that out because you're a fucking Nazi if you ask a question, even as subtly as I just pointed that out. I'm a Nazi. I want to kill all Jews. At least that's what they think. When you fucking ask, like, what about Israel? Why is it like this? It's not like that.
When you think about
you
it,
shut your fucking mouth, and it's one way for
or
them.
you don't, or you say you don't care when it does matter. Like I used to say, I don't care, but I don't know, now it's different because it's like when you get older, you realize that all this shit matter.
It could, if people would realize what's important here is that we need to go back to having a secure border. We need to go back to being nationalists. We need to get ourselves off foreign powers and other Axis powers for our manufacturing goods. We need to stop being reliant on anybody. We need to bring pride back to America. We need to make ourselves the economic manufacturing giant and the captain of industry that we were in like the 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Yep, but who knows if that will happen.
It probably won't, but if people are smart, these are the lessons that they'll take from this chaos, is that we need to be ready for the next thing, because if this isn't even that bad, imagine if something bad happens.
Yeah.
People are fucking running around with their heads cut off right now, like, I need toilet paper! It's like they're fucking Cornholio. It's like no one even understands that if this is nothing, then like people already have lost their ever-loving minds, and what else are we going to do if something ever was really a real threat? Because a lot of people don't think this is real. We don't know. I hope it's not. But again, if it was, what could you do? What could you do except sit around and do what we're doing now? We're just talking to each other in a party while playing video games.
Well, eventually they're gonna probably stop that. Who knows?
And of all the video games that you could play, there's still so many that if the world was ending, man, all I fucking want to do is check out games that I wanted to check out. That I'm like, oh man, I wanted to check that out. I never got around to it. Like right now, I'm just getting more and more into Breath of the Wild, and like that game is a fucking knockout masterpiece. Like the Switch, for having those two, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild being right on it, right when it came out, fucking killed the Xbox One, and rightfully so, because they showed that they care about the medium, they care about killer apps, and they care about gaming. Because both of those are games that need to be experienced before you die. Like those are gaming on the level of like a new plateau of interactivity, of organic, emergent gameplay between the player and the tactile controls and the feedback. The physics in Breath of the Wild are amazing, man. Like you can just fuck around with the physics all day.
I would say a game that like I wish I could say it like because Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite games, but it's like I would say Kingdom Heart. Like I don't know.
That's another series that I need to check out. I may even because it's like I mean, legitimately, man. And you can be assured that the digital markets they're probably booming right now because everybody is not leaving the house like that. There's a majority, and they're like, I'm just gonna go buy something on the store because you go in the store and you're instantly in the games aisle at Walmart or Target or Kroger or whatever the fuck retailer you may have.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like digital has always been thriving more than retail, though. Because retail has always been dying.
Like the boom. This is going to be like probably. Think of how many physical mediums might go out with this scare. Like people are no longer going to want to be around each other. People are no longer. If it's like
it's gonna isolate and introvert everyone.
We're all infected eventually, and that if you get it, you have it for life. At least that's what I've heard. And again, if anybody's out there like freaking out because you're taking our word for it. Don't be an idiot. You don't know us. We're just talking about this shit on a podcast that you probably just randomly found if you're even listening to this.
Yeah, that's
just have some fun. Because if the world was ending, what else is any other authority going to tell you except for people that are actually out here just as scared as you probably are?
Yeah.
Because nobody would believe it. Nobody could actually, even yourself, even me, like you couldn't.
Like I don't believe
that
the world is
dissonance to the end of like, this isn't. The world's not ending, man. We're not special. I'm not going to be in the history books as in the 2020s a secret. Even though there's some very weird stuff, man, that my sister's been finding the last week. That I'm like, okay, that's weird. Like, I mean, if you keep it going, Ben, like, what was it about Kingdom Hearts? I'm gonna look this up real quick. Talk about Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts is very it's a good game, but I don't know. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 is definitely not. Kingdom Hearts 3 feels like a money grab.
Final Fantasy meets Disney, which that's not a bad idea, but I don't really know the story beyond that.
It is very much Final Fantasy meets Disney, but it's very, I don't know, maybe it's not that good of a game.
It blew me away as a kid. It was like whenever you got to play a video game, if it was like your sisters or your brothers or your nephews, and like it was whenever you were like, this is magical. Like this is something that I can't have because I'm a kid. I can't afford this thing.
Yeah,
when he was floating in the ocean in the beginning, man, and he's like falling down and it's playing that song like that I still vividly remember that. That was stirring.
Yeah, no, but the thing about those type of games is that it's more for its time. Like you can say any game is the world. Like, oh, you got to play this game, or you got to play this game, but there will always be something better made. And there'll always be better. Like, if you were to play that game now, if you don't have an appreciation for old games and, like, the way graphics used to be and how they never really had graphics cards like they do now.
Everything used to just be, I'm from the N64 generation, man. I have nostalgia for one of the worst graphical transitions in gaming history when it was just everything goes from 2D to polygons, just base, one color, one shade, polygons. I mean, you go back and look at the original Star Fox, it looks like an alpha, and it's like that was the game. And that game kicked ass. You do a barrel roll.
It's like, it's very much like you have to have an appreciation for old games. You have to, because a lot of people that are born outside of, like, the generation I was in are like very much certain generations. You're not gonna like Kingdom Hearts, or you'll like Kingdom Hearts for what it is now because it's good graphics, but it's not like they took all the magic out of Disney. There's no magic in Disney anymore. Disney might as well be dead. And like some people may not be able to agree with that.
And Marvel and Disney Plus and all that, I think they would disagree with that. But yeah, I know what you mean. I still get the magic of Disney and I understand like the movies and stuff. But yeah, they are very. I'm not one of these people that even thinks for a second that Disney murdered Star Wars or that they destroyed another franchise. If you don't think, if any of you out there honestly didn't know that George Lucas raped and beat the dead horse of Star Wars until it was just a defunct toy brand, until it was just an irrelevant fucking kids underwear brand, basically just something you put on kids products and fucking merchandise and media like just swag, just pointless shit, just toys, just fucking. People didn't give a fuck about Star Wars because George Lucas didn't give a fuck about Star Wars. So
There
all
was no
Disney did to
passion.
me is reanimated corpse. George Lucas murdered Star Wars, and he made it irrelevant. He made it like I didn't give a fuck about Star Wars probably the majority of my adult life, from the time I was 13 to probably 19, because George Lucas just made it. I mean, growing up on the prequels, yeah, that was, I won't lie, going to the theaters and shit and seeing that,
For
it
its
felt
time.
like an experience, and it was mind-blowing. But then going back to him and seeing what they did and seeing that it was just him surrounded by a bunch of fucking yes men, because the original trilogy was great because George Lucas was surrounded by people that were like, no, George, we're not going to do that, George. That's stupid, George. That's not a good, like, they were there to stop him and to make him shine where he was efficient at his talents, and they were there to fucking provide their talents where he lacked. But then the fucking prequels, and you can even tell by looking at the special features, he's just surrounded, everybody on the set, everything he's saying, everybody's just like, oh, that's a good idea, George. Yeah, George. Yeah, George. Yeah, all that's so cool. Oh, yeah, George. You got
There
it,
was no
George. Yeah.
grounding.
It was just a bunch of yes men, and then you have this just bloated, bad CGI right at the. Even people even say that it holds up. Even if it does, there is worse CGI. If you've never seen a sci-fi horror movie original, you know what I'm talking about. But even if it does hold up, it was some of the worst tracking. Like, the movie is basically just CGI when they first started using it. So it's actors walking one straight line through a fucking blue screen environment. They don't interact with anything. They don't have any blocking. There is no chewing of the scenery. There is nothing there. And then people,
But just a little
they
bit of
cast Samuel L.
scenery.
Jackson. Motherfucking Samuel L. Jackson in the worst role he has ever been cast in. He is a reserved Jedi council member, and every line, the camera angles in the movie are like, they're such bad. They're just A camera, B camera, on this person's face, now on this person's face. He says something, now he says something. If kids didn't give a fuck about trade routes and bureaucracy and the politics of war and what everything, George Lucas tried to make it like he tried to bring in the fucking the tactics and the dynamics and the duality of war and all that shit. And it's like, George, people don't give a shit, man. You made this shit off the back of old war serials and space operas where dudes jump around in capes and face fantasy shit with glowing swords, and you gave that some legitimacy. But to give it anything more beyond that, where how much what I love, I don't give a fuck what anybody says about the new. I use my own brain, and I do movies because they do
But
stuff
there's
that the
things you
original
don't
movies
like.
never did. Yeah, there's stuff I don't like. You'd have to be blind not to see the Blade and SJW stuff in there. And that, yes, Rey, I liked her in the beginning, and I still think she's a cool character, but she's really nothing more than a Mary Sue. She's just a bad
puppet.
bitch. She's capable. She can use the Force. She can fly like fucking Han Solo. She can fight with lightsaber. Like, she is like when you're playing a game with your friend when you're a kid, you're like, nah, man, my character can do everything that your character can do, and then like I got a shield that will like your abilities don't do anything to me. They'll like bounce off and then hurt you. So if you try to do anything, it's like bad writing. It's like you can't do anything with characters like that. That's why Superman, the only good stories of Superman
Is
for me at
with
least,
him
is
with
Superman Infinite, where he
kryptonite.
dies.
Because he has a
Superman Infinite is
weakness.
incredible. Fucking has a race across time and space with some gladiator dude for Lois Lane's heart. He shows her all the stuff that he's collected across his travels. Then eventually he meets his ultimate demise, and like it's a very existentialist Superman story, and it captures the essence of like what being a god man would fucking be like. Whereas every other story of Superman is just like, well, I am a perfect god man with beautifully coiffed brunette hair, and Lois
That
Lane
nothing
wants to
can
fuck
do.
me.
Then
It's like you can't relate to that at all. It's not. There's no consequence. There's no conflict. You're just like, God, fuck this guy.
all you can do is just, he's like the perfect you, which is what they try and portray now. That's the thing I don't like about a lot of movies and shit, is they try, and even with social media, is they try and project the perfect you. Like
try
the
and
you
project
that
the
you will
you
never
that-
be.
It's like they're selling you the products and
When all those people
ideals
all
of a
yeah.
idolized version of yourself that you will strive to be, but you'll never be.
Yeah,
like,
and the
Hey,
funny
you want to
and
be
the
the
worst.
person on box back. You want to be the person in the poster. You want to be the person in the commercial. Like, they don't sell you the product; they sell you the experience.
Yeah. And fucking, I don't know. I agree. Like, I don't know. I see what I see it, you know? Like, I see what they're trying to do, but
Like I fall victim to it, man. I fucking feel sometimes like I wish I could enjoy things like
the
other
way this
gamers, like how
person,
some, like on the Nintendo Switch. I've had that thing since 2017. Well, the one that I lost down a highway, and then I got this one. I bought it like I think last July, like recently in July. So it's been about almost 6, 7 months, and so it's like I buy these things and I'm not going to use the dock. So really the thing to me is not a Switch at all because I just set it up with a case I have. It's got a perfect stand, you know. I just fucking set it up. I put it like on some boxes in my room and then I fucking turn off all the lights and I just have it stood up and I use the Joy-Con capability. I just play it in handheld mode
yeah,
because the way I look at games, I look at them like a psychedelic art form. I look at them as like, if you need people to tell you how to enjoy things, then you really should not be fucking playing games because you're not
yeah.
going to enjoy them. If you're still going off of reviews, if you're still going off of like what people tell you that you should enjoy, what people tell you is good, what people tell you is beautiful, is epic, is the art form at its finest, then you're not going to ever find it. Like people that think that a majority of Switch gamers that only play it in handheld mode is because they're paranoid that the system will scratch itself, and for
And a lot of
goddamn good
people will
reason,
give it the
because
good.
I should not have to worry about that. Yet people are like, "Oh, dude, you just sew a dock sock. You have to jimmy rig your fucking system that you bought because Nintendo designed it to where, oh, whoops, it scratched it." It's like, are you fucking kidding me? And gamers are such little, like I said, we're not gamers on this show. We're fucking, I at least am a man. I'm a 25-year-old man who enjoys the medium of interactive entertainment. But I'm not a gamer anymore because gamers are the kind of sit down and take it, just get legitimately
Yeah.
committed fraud against, be able to be told like, oh, well, it's fine, thanks for your money, and if it scratched it, you can just buy another one because, hey, everybody gets a lemon. And then gamers don't give a fuck if they're never the one that worked their ass off and bought a lemon and was like, well, hey, man, it's just you, man. It's like, fuck you, you little shit. You probably still use your parents' credit card. You probably still
Yeah,
only mow lawns to get this shit. Because I was you at one time. I was you with my grandma's money running around like, Grandma, can I get the new pre-order? Or Grandma, can I go do this? And then you eventually realize, like, this is going to kick you in the balls whenever you pay for it. And you're like, you mean the fucking thing, the fucking the $500 system I just bought scratched itself? And then gamers are just like, well, man, some people get a lemon, you know? Some people, yeah, I'm guessing you never did.
yeah,
Gamers are like the type of like, and I'm talking about gamers, the archetypical gamer, like this Twitch generation, fucking floss dancing, TikTok, being spied on by Chinese surveillance companies, gamers. They have this stereotype of being like, fuck you, got mine. Like I'm enjoying my life, so fuck you.
yeah.
And it's the kind of mentality that can't let you enjoy, like, you can't go back and turn on an old game on the GameCube. You motherfuckers can't go back and turn on, you can't, we're coming back around to the segue of what I was saying, we're not going off on a tangent, to the Switch and play it in just handheld mode. Because what I think is amazing about the Switch in handheld mode, dude, is that it makes games look the most crisp, like eye-popping visuals I've ever seen. Because like I said, Nintendo is not anywhere near on par with the Xbox and the PS3 and the PS4 in terms of the processing power of what their little system can do, you know? The Switch is no slouch. If you've never played one, though, for a little, what looks like just to be a little tablet with connectable controllers, and that is not that word, but it's
Connectable.
fucking powerful, man. It's fucking powerful. Like, at first I wrote it off. I'm like, it's a fucking tablet, but I've played this thing long enough to where Breath of the Wild does some stuff in it where you're like, this is a next-gen game. This is a fucking next-generation game. It looks like a living, breathing anime. Every inch of that game is dripping with detailed shadowing and texturing, and it's like a level of texture work. Hands down, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and it could just be because I play them on the handheld mode. I know it would probably look a little bit rougher if I put it on my 4K TV, definitely. But still, it's like, who are we to take away from ourselves what it's like if you and your own headspace, and the thing you enjoy, where the novelty comes from, where you're like, I am content right now, I am grateful, I am happy. Because being grateful leads to happiness, and they don't want you to be grateful in a world where they want to sell you the next best thing, where they want to sell you a fucking... And this is coming from a guy that has bought probably about 6 4K sets in the last 5 years. And I've gone through all of them, and now I got a QLED. We'll see how long I have this.
A lot of
piece
people,
shit.
what they do, though, and what they're trying to, like the whole thing about, like, alcohol and, like, weed, like, it, like, I'm all for things like weed legalization, but I know what's gonna happen if it's legalized, and people are gonna be fucked. And like, but hey, legalize it.
It's a way to keep us docile. It's a way to be more towards. If it's not the end of the world, it sure is the beginning of a new world. And people that don't see that by now, it's like, dude, you're an ostrich. It's like, just go on with your life, and you're gonna die ignorant. And you know what? That's better. Because sometimes I wish I could go back to sleep. I wish I could just, like, I feel as if. I mean, right now, dude, I'm looking at fucking bunch of Bendy and the Ink Machine figurines. I got Bendy and Alice Angel on my TV stand, and then I got all the Rick and Morty figurines and fucking Death Stranding special edition console, 2 fucking Death Stranding collector's editions with the light up BB pod lamp that's like the fucking Norman Reedus BB, because you are the Norman Reedus' character. Spoilers for everybody that didn't play this fucking dumpster fire of an ideological propagandist bitch slap you over the head with its smug attitude the entire time. And I can say whatever the fuck I want about this game. I put over 170 hours into it and paid probably $900 into this motherfucker's estate. So Hideo Kojima can suck my cock.
So
and the fucking thing with Death Stranding and everything else, it's all the same thing. It's all everything that they're gonna sell you in the experience. It's in the end like, will the world end or will it not? It's like it's gonna end.
There's
in their
something
way,
there, but you will never get to see it.
What they want it to be. It's not going to be anything except what the main, and whether that's the left or Democrats or rhinos or mainstream Republicans or neocons or fucking the people you can't talk about, or like, it doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they want. Like, whether or not there was a coronavirus, whether or not the world is legitimately ending, it's no different than if we ever had this conversation.
Even if the world,
so let's just play a game.
Even if the world is ending, there's gonna be survivors. There's gonna be, unless the sun fucking hits us, or
dude, even if the world is ending, like right now, my fucking thing is, I'm like, well, I'm on a quarantine from work right now because they're like, well, you missed up to April, and there's no, we will waive the attendance demerits or whatever it will be. So that's pretty interesting. And me, all I'm thinking about is like, I'm gonna fucking knock out this backlog. And for right now, the backlog is Breath of the Wild. And like, my God, more than any game this generation, dude, people that are like Nintendo fanboys and they're like, man, if you didn't beat that game in a week, you ain't shit. You don't deserve the whole sort of time. It's like, if you beat that game in a week, you did that game, you fucking pissed all over the people. Like, that game
you did not experience the game.
And running across the meadows and walking underneath the night sky is the world beckons. Like, what Breath of the Wild did for open world design, people that didn't even play it, that don't even play Nintendo games, don't realize the heavy hitters, the fucking innovative.
Like, no game is meant to be speed run.
Nintendo is.
Because if you just speed run the game, you never get to experience
Nintendo is like the hip hop of the games industry. Everybody steals from Nintendo, and nobody wants to know they do. But Nintendo is so cutting edge. Nintendo is the reason why sound effects come out of the PS4 controller. The Wii did it first. Fucking Nintendo is the reason why the fucking PlayStation exists, because they were working on a disc-based system with Nintendo, and then they had a falling out, and then that was the birth of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Nintendo is the reason why gaming is still... Nintendo looks to games to be play and the organic nature of what a game can be over every other medium first.
Which is plug and play.
Being a big bang, like, Michael Bay, like, AAA budget, like, get to the objective, and this is Destiny, and look at how sexy your cape looks. Oh, you
do this fucking... monkey see, monkey do type shit. That's the thing I don't like. That's the thing I don't like about a lot of games right now, is because everything's just monkey say, monkey do. There's no immersion. There is immersion in like quotations, because there are things that are immersive in those games, but there's no real immersion. Like, you don't get to understand the character.
You gotta understand me, man. If the world's ending, man, I would recommend, like, well, if you have disposable income, I don't give a shit. I don't judge anybody. Life is unfair, man. I've been poor my whole life. Some people have been rich their whole life. I'm not one to complain about it. But if you have some disposable income, man, and the world was ending, dude, just fucking go buy a Switch and get Breath of the Wild, because more than any game this generation, it's just a game that's enjoyable to play and be in its universe and fuck around with every mechanic it has. Like, the game is so rewarding to the levels of depth that the gameplay has, whereas, like, most games are, you can do one thing and you can do it static, and that is it.
Like Call of Duty, I can't stand Call of Duty because Call of Duty is very, like, there's immersion, but there's no immersion, you know?
Yeah, it's all about the little things. Like Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar, not to go on a tangent on them because I fucking would.
They took out all the little things. They took out all the little things. And now they're taking out even more.
In the campaign, like, there is still the little things, but yeah, they're taking out the agency of even being able to torture Mr. K at your heart's delight. And if you have a soul, which I fucking, when I did that, I'm like, you can hit him in the dick multiple times, dude. That's just fucked. But I mean, hey, they do worse stuff to people in CIA torture rooms every day, so that was kind of the point. So
they stick like worms in your ear and shit.
Of that message. Things are legal, but again, that's going off on a tangent of like the agency and the Grand Theft Auto games and losing that, and like, but man, Breath of the Wild, the level of depth of gameplay, like, and name any mechanic in the game, and there is a spider web of functions in which that you as the player can interact with it, like getting an apple out of a tree. You could be walking along, and if you're just role playing the game as like I said, if you don't fast travel to a lot of places in the game, Hyrule is an epic, vast, spanning kingdom.
But everybody just fast travels.
Yeah, that's the trouble with a lot of fast travel is where like the game gets,
I used to fast travel in GTA, but then I played the game in GTA, and then
yeah, it's like if you've never even just walked down one street in a game that is as detailed as Grand Theft Auto, or a game that's like you see
there's so much detail,
the level of
and you get to
and just find
you see that one bum on the road that's like just drinking like an alcoholic, and it's like,
you
holy
notice how
shit.
In the early mornings when fog rolls across the asphalt and you can see it in your headlights, you notice that there's trash cans starting to come out because it's like the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, like the only thing I wish Grand Theft Auto did better was they had like a real time aspect, like at night there'd be crime and bunch of shit and there'd be no cars in the street because at night there's not a lot of cars, you know, unless you're on like the highway.
I mean, that would have been the next level if GTA 6 had been the Hauser brothers and everybody working on GTA that was GTA, but
because
all good things must come to an end.
Because The Witcher did stuff like that. Like at nighttime there would be crime and sketchy shit going on.
See, I didn't even know that. Like, that game is so... Games nowadays are so vast and so, like, you can't have the experience. That's my thing, is like what I've always tried to articulate is like, you can't have the experience of a game like The Witcher by just beating it really quickly. Like, you have to live in that game. You have to experience its universe.
No, like I was paying attention, and if you're walking around Novigrad at night, like I was just walking around there and fucking, like there was sketchy shit going on at night, like very sketchy shit, and there was like people partying. Like if you go to the ghetto part of the game where it's the ghetto, fucking there's people partying at night, there's shit going on, and in the day everybody's just walking, going, doing their job and stuff like a normal human being. Like it was fucking dope to witness, because I was like, holy shit, they did this? Because games don't really do that kind of shit nowadays. It's not very, it's not as common.
The Witcher 3 is the level of scope and scale.
Like imagine a Call of Duty where you have to live in the town, you know.
Yeah.
And fucking like for a few days, and you're scouting for like the target, or you're waiting for a war, and you get to live as the character, and you get to learn about the character, and it gets into depth with the, like, that shit. I would buy that.
How they did World War II, and it was just a big stupid like Call of Duty affair, like basic campaign.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Of, like, you're the only guy that gets blown up. You're the only guy that gets shell shocked. You're in the slow motion scene.
You're the guy saving the guy.
Yeah, you assassinate the guys. You do the slow motion last stand shot, and he's like, "Get in private." Like, it's like it literally is almost so unaware of itself that you're like, you know, this is almost approaching parody levels, right?
Yeah.
And you think it's cool, because it'd be cool if they were doing a parody, but it's not. So that's what makes it cringe. But man, imagine, for me, I was thinking, like, if they gave a fuck, if they wanted, because there's no excuse. I've seen it. When you play a game like The Witcher, when you play a game that pushes the bounds of what this interactive medium can do, you're like, you can do that in a game? So, dude, imagine, for me, I was like, if Activision wasn't, like, the equivalent of the Koch brothers or fucking the Rothschilds or Enron of the games industry, like they give a fuck and use all their trillions of money that they have in offshore tax havens in the Netherlands, allegedly, and they fucking put it all back into the games because that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's what Rockstar did. Every time GTA would make billions of dollars, it would become so big in the fucking zeitgeist that the women on the
They would
View were
invest
talking
it
about
into
Grand
the
Theft
new
Auto 4.
games.
Like, yeah, they put it, you could tell when we played GTA 5, you were like, man, GTA 4 did all right, and so did Max Payne 3, and so did Red Dead Redemption, because those were all in. And then you look at, like, the games that I can go off on so many tangents about Rockstar, man. It's just such a shame that they're gone. Like, rest in peace, pour one out. Fucking everything ends.
Yeah, everything
But every
dies.
little minute detail that people don't give a fuck about anymore is the reason why that the art form can be so much more, but people don't realize that. It's like what I was saying about World War II.
Like
Imagine if instead of it being a Call of Duty game where you just run from point A to point B, and
but nobody
Call of Duty
cares
the
about
shit out of
that
it.
shit.
Imagine, dude, if they had designed a fully organic, fully detailed, complete scale replica model of the west of the European front, and fucking. Then you, as a massive multiplayer online game,
would
it still
get to
could have been Call of
decide.
Duty. It still could have been like the whole multiplayer of Call of Duty, but you have to pick a guy, you pick a grunt, and you literally show up, you make it onto the beaches, and you literally
Have a
make
war.
it from there to. You have to push on the lines. You have to push up. You have to make it from that beachhead into the country, like where you are now. Like
I
when you
think
make
they
it on the
did
beach,
something like that,
everything
but
you're
it was
seeing,
very
the explosions
smaller.
in the distance, your sergeant screaming at you like, "You get up to that beachhead and you take that." Like every bomb you're seeing, every bullet, every shell, every dynamic bit of warfare you're seeing is other players, and people can't tell me that can't be done because they do it in other games. But in this game, it would be that you
But
have
Call
to
of Duty has the
dynamically
money
with
to
your
do
whole
shit.
multiplayer unit push up into the beachheads of Europe, across Germany, and you have to take the enemy faction down. And it would actually have been a real dynamic scale model replica of World War II that if you're not going to play it every day, when you get back on, you're still going to be where the fuck you were at if you didn't keep on with your friends.
And it was
And it
just
would
one
form-
big battle.
Yeah, it would truly feel like an immersive, dynamic, and taking advantage of what Next Generation was supposed to fucking be, not just glitzier, glossier versions of the same mechanics we've interacted with. At least I've interacted with for like 15, fucking 16 years.
But to some people, they haven't interacted with it at all.
Oh yeah, the majority of people, this is falling on deaf ears. They don't get it. They don't get. It's like you said, when The Witcher presented you things that you're like, holy shit, this game is doing that.
Yeah, it's like, but the games like those are rare these days.
Yeah, man, because it's.
The Witcher
catered
is
to the lowest
definitely
common
one of the
denominator.
best. You got like that's a game I would say.
Oh yeah, The
people-
Witcher. No matter my gripes
'Cause
with
you
The Witcher,
can
The Witcher
learn
is
a lot.
masterpiece.
You
The
can
Witcher is
learn a
one of
lot
the best
from-
games of this generation, and like if the DLCs are like the shittiest games that you could think of, like what was the game that was like Recore and Quantum Break. Those two games compared to those are both Xbox One exclusives, by the way. No one gave a fuck because Xbox didn't do anything new, and they didn't. Xbox showed me as a guy that was there day one on every one of their exclusives because I supported
that
the
they
shit out
don't
of
give
that
a
fucking
fuck about
mediocre
gamers
boss.
anymore
They
because it's
don't care about
Microsoft.
the medium or the art form at all. PlayStation and Nintendo, they push the medium to new heights. It's like I said with
Well,
like
I
Breath
don't
of the
know.
Wild. Most
I
people
don't
don't
know
even know that their
completely
games
because
are
now that I
influenced
think
by that
about
game.
it, now that I think about what you just said, I don't know about that completely because they do like let people download shit like mods. Like they have a downloader file, which PlayStation
Yeah,
does not
because
have because
they
it's
have
don't
no
fuck with my
capability
game.
of. For me, I'm a console gamer, so it's like all I buy a console for, man, is like, what does this console do over another console? Like the exclusives, and people that are like, exclusives are just for console fags who want to feel special. It's like, no, exclusives are a way to push the envelope. Exclusives are a way to like take advantage of everything that a console can do. Like what God of War can do on the PS4 Pro because it's made from the ground up for the PlayStation. Other cross-platform games, multi-platform games can't do. And yeah, the Xbox One came out, and Xbox One X, the Xbox One S. People that spend as much money on the Xbox One, multiple models, this generation, because the majority of Xbox gamers are like shoot 'em up dude bros. I mean, that's why they call it Halo,
Yeah.
Gears, Forza. Like fucking the majority, like the games that I supported on Xbox One, that I was there for day one, that I was ready to support this innovative idea, like Quantum Break, like Recore, like what else was it? Fucking there was this one. It was really interesting. Dead Rising 3, fucking Rise, Son of Rome, Super Lucky's Tale, which was like that came out in the same month as Mario Odyssey, and it was the same type of game, so you could I mean, to say they're the same is insulting. It's like, it's the same type of genre. It was a mascot platformer, but it was like a mascot platformer from the days of everybody had to have a mascot platformer, and all the definition of gameplay for one of those things was a bunch of innocuously placed coins and platforms to jump between. And it was like, no, there's a lot more than that. And you released this in the same month as Mario Odyssey, like the most god-level game that has come out, like better than Mario fucking 64. And that's saying a lot. Like, to take that legacy away, because Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like, when you just talk about video games, like, and I don't even care about am I immersed anymore, like, did I die, did I fuck, it's fucking Mario, man. And Mario Odyssey takes the fucking 30 years. That's what I love both about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, is that they both took the 30 years of the fucking franchises and the legacies of these games that you grew up on, especially if you're my age, and like they just run with them. Like everything it's like they take everything from that it'd be like, dude, if Kingdom Hearts 3 had come out and they had like,
it came like out like how the older
like
Kingdom
the more
Hearts
that
games.
you started playing the game, it was like just icing on the cake of like, we know you guys are Kingdom Hearts fans and you've been waiting for this forever, and this is like our love letter to what Kingdom Hearts was. It would have been
But no,
like,
it was just a parody.
Legacy
That's all it
outfits
was.
for Sora. If you unlocked like different camera modes that made it look like the PS2. If you unlocked like fucking like when Mario Odyssey ends, the end game is like the fucking game begins.
Yeah.
Almost like Minecraft.
Like, dude, it has the best camera mode, and I don't give a fuck about a camera mode. I have so many games
Why is this
like
nigga
Last of
sound-
Us Remastered, Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, like so many games where they're like, you can take pictures. It's like, I don't fucking care. Fucking Mario Odyssey,
Because those
dude,
pictures don't even mean shit later on.
Yeah. It has the coolest camera modes ever because it makes things look like the SNES. It makes things look like the NES. It makes things look all fucking, everything look like a gold coin, fucking everything. Like, that game is what games are meant to be. It is a superb, absolute, like, revelatory level of play and interactivity and tactile feedback between you as the player and the controls of the seamless one-to-one motion of the stick that you are moving and manipulating with your thumb. You are fucking Mario. Like, everything you're doing, if you die, it's on you. Like, if you trip up, if you slip, if you fall, the haptic feedback with the controls of, like, when you're sitting there in the New Donk City, which was the most mind-blowing moment, and there was a lot of them in this generation, but the most mind-blowing moment in one of the, like, every game I played, and I played pretty much the whole pantheon of, like, shit that came out this generation, from handhelds to VR to consoles, like, you name it. Like, was it being in New Donk City as Mario and walking around with, like, James and Jens fucking in suits and in a New York street, and you were just, like, Mario running around. It's like, you're in the real world. It's like, it was trippy as fuck.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm not a big Mario fan, because...
Like I said, man, I grew up with it. It was like revelatory. It was like life affirming. Mario Odyssey was like 30 years, like, I can't even describe. Mario Odyssey was like a religious experience for me.
I
no joke.
feel like for me, my Mario Odyssey was Kingdom Hearts, but yet Kingdom Hearts showed that they don't care about their fan base at all.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm saying. It'd be like if, like, I can't even articulate, like, if they had done what they did with Mario Odyssey with Kingdom Hearts 3, you'd still be playing it. Like, it was like free outfits every holiday. You could unlock, like, and I don't really know much about the whole series.
I
but,
think
like,
they're doing that
like,
kind of stuff now, but it's like, it's already too late, man.
Yeah, it's like, you fucking assholes, like, you didn't even, like, if you unleash something,
Like, I was a fan. Maybe if I was younger, but, like, I'm a fan of these games, you know? Like, I was excited for it. I haven't been excited for... And they really disappointed me, man.
Yeah, man. That's how I felt with No Man's Sky, because it was like, and I still don't know again why I look back on it and I'm like, you really expected, like, when their previous track record, the only games that they made was Joe Danger and Joe Danger 2, and I bought the Joe Danger in the summer of 2010, I think. We were having all those parties at my house. My sister was bringing everybody over, and there was like a bunch of high school chicks around smoking weed, and like fucking. That was a great summer, man. It was like my Woodstock, and then, like, it's like the calm before the storm now in the world we're in now. But, you know, good times. But it was Joe Danger, and it was basically, if you know Excitebike, It's like a 2D stunt bike game where you like kind of like Trials, but
Yeah,
like
I'm not a big fan of those
so
type
you
of
jump
games.
around, you like get boosts, you collect points and stuff, and you fucking. This was in the early days of like games like that was all you could really get in the digital space in the so-called indie space on PS3. So that was like why I flocked so hard to everything indie and going back to No Man's Sky, why I believed them so much that they could pull it off. When I'm like, so the only games these guys did were 2D stunt bike, excite bike, trials like games, and they're gonna create the pantheon and the totality of the heavens and the earth and every planet and quintillion stars and fucking, and it was like, yeah, seems legit. And then it comes out and it's like complete fraud, and anybody that's like, oh, shut up, you babies.
They
and
are,
you need
it
to get
is
over
that
it,
now.
And you entitled gamers. It's like, dude, I paid $65 plus tax for a broken alpha product that barely even played, that broke so many times and crashed so many times, only to get to the center of the universe in a game
it's the same
that it was
thing,
like.
because right now there's an artist and he just dropped an album and he is supposed to drop it like a long time ago. And now I'm not completely blaming him because his album did get leaked, so his first like the original album did get leaked, so I don't completely blame him, but still, it's like 3 years, and he gives us I would say a half-assed album, like it was overnight, and
It's like not worth the wait.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, dude,
it's
that's
like,
how everybody pretty much feels about Rick and Morty season 4. It was like 2 years from. And I didn't wait that long because I get into stuff after the fact, and I'm like, oh, I'll check this out. But people that apparently finished season 3 in 2000, probably.
And then waited, and then waited for season
yeah, it was
4.
Like 2 years,
and
then
season 4
comes
is
back, and the first fucking episodes don't move any of the plot along. That I don't give a fuck what Dan Harmon says. Like, people cared about Evil Morty, people cared about Phoenix Person, people care about
maybe
where
they're
these are
bringing
going.
that back, but I think because of the nature.
I think if you know Dan Harmon, he wants you to go fuck yourself. If you think he's gonna do anything you want, like if you know a lot of his stuff, like Community and there was something he did before, I forget what it was, but like Dan Harmon is notorious for like, dude, did you see how much he just stuck his cock in his fans' mouths? Man, what a badass! And it's like, well, dude, go fuck yourself. Because anytime I see, like, with the same thing with Death Stranding.
Yeah, like it's like people don't appreciate their fans anymore. It's like when their fans is what got them there in the first place.
That they'll just take it. And the first and it's only 5 episodes, and then they're coming back this year, and they're going to do the last 5 of season 4. But man, if it's the same fucking thing, like if it's just this bullshit wannabe Family Guy, South Park nonsense, and that was never fucking Rick and Morty, but every one of these episodes, like none of them advance the plot. Every one of them, the characters are doing shit that is inaccurate to their arc so far. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense why they're doing that or why they're having these episodes. My favorite episode of the entire season, I will admit, is the old man in the seat. But still, that would have been better.
Is that episode
like
5? I haven't seen that episode.
No, episode 5 is Rattlestar Galactica. I fucking hate that episode. And people can gush and masturbate over all the Terminator references and over all the... If you get tropes and if you watched enough pop culture, you didn't need any dialogue. It should have all explained itself because the very universal nature of tropes is like calligraphy or fucking... glossolalia to our brains. It's like, yeah, did I get that? But still, they wasted an entire fucking episode to watch a bunch of goddamn snakes kill Hitler and go back in time and fucking do all the 80s montage of like the fucking Terminator, and then they're gonna rescue her baby, and then Skynet is the snakes, and everything is like, it was just fucking nonsense, and none of it moves along
big
any of
fuck
the shit
you.
that people really care about the character arcs in Rick and Morty. And my whole thing is that they are the show is the very essence of being so smart that its very existence is like everyone's a fucking idiot. Like the show is just pretty much just like dabbing on you. It's pretty much just like, thanks for your money, faggot. Like, and that is why I like it, because in the beginning it wasn't just preaching to you about politics. It was just a really mean, dark sci-fi show, and now it's become their political pedestal to be like, oh, fuck it. Like the first episode, like I said, it also kind of ruins the universe, because there's people out there with entire theories of all the different universes that Rick and Morty inhabit and all the different ways in which you can go back and watch an episode and you're like, are you looking at C-137 Rick and Morty here, or are you seeing a totally different universe Rick and Morty? And that's very interesting, and that's the depth and the layers of the show that I really dig. But they start to lose that now with like the first fucking episode of him dying over and over and his clone going back different consciousnesses that are in different clones across different realities. He keeps coming to, and it's like everybody is fascist now, everybody's Nazis now, you know? And so he's like running down the street as a prawn Rick, and there's a bunch of prawn Nazis and fascists fucking chasing him, and they beat his face in with clubs and shit. Before that, he's like, when did this shit become the default? And then he goes to like a Care Bear reality where
goes
it's like Care
from
Bear
the best to waiting for the best, which is the hardest part of.
Yeah, and then you get there and you're like, so, and that was the same thing for me, dude. Like, so many things this generation were like, hey, thanks for your money. Now I'm going to fucking slap you in the face with my cock and act like I'm a genius for it. And if you get offended, it's just because you're a small-minded flyover person. And it's like, no, fuck you, asshole. Death Stranding was nothing but a temper tantrum about Trump. You wasted your team's time. If anybody is out there that has played Death Stranding, you know what I mean. As far as a gameplay mechanic and as far as a world unto itself, it's like they built the entire world of Death Stranding, and then Kojima just took it and just use it as a vehicle to talk about Trump's America and to talk about fucking deplorables and people in the Midwest and the Southwest and flyovers and how you're all just a bunch of idiots and how if you think you should have borders then you're the both. Like what he described, he's like in one bit of lore, because the lore in the game is whenever Kojima just straight up breaks through the fucking screen, is just basically like, fuck it to you.
Fuck you.
And it's just like, fuck you, asshole! I just gave you $900.
Well, I mean, they're already trying to
because
replace
I support
races
art,
and
because
shit.
I looked at Death Stranding, and before I knew what it was, and everybody was saying it, everybody was like, it's just a bunch of random bullshit. Kojima's not going to make any of it make sense. And like I said, it does make sense, but it makes sense after a big fucking exposition dump from one of the main characters in the end credits, when you're just sitting there and you can run down a beach and you're just running down a beach forever in purgatory while you're listening to the fucking expletive dialogue of this story that should have been explained through the goddamn gameplay. If you're relying on exposition, if you're doing what Destiny 2 did, because a lot of people want to tell me that was a good story, you don't play enough games and you really don't understand the dynamic difference of gaming over every other storytelling medium.
You shouldn't need to
Destiny
do all
tells
that
its
extra
fucking
shit.
Story like a Hollywood
DLC
movie.
Or through
In
DLC.
Destiny 2, the way they tell it like a Hollywood movie is that it's a first-person game, right? So the fucking narrative should be out of your eyes, in the first person, only happening with what you as the player are experiencing. And so how do you fucking know what's going on when they do those cutaways of those two Cabal generals? I don't know if you played the campaign or whatever, but you're like doing some shit, and then they do the cutaways of the Cabal generals in their stronghold on their planet or in the mothership or wherever the fuck they're at. And you as the gamer are seeing this exposition being delivered to you about their plan and their motivations and all this stuff, you know? But you as the player, you're not anywhere near this shit. So you as the player don't know what's going on. You as the player aren't fucking being informed of... You as the player are just the guardian. You're on the ground level. You're behind the scope of the gun, and you're fucking down on boots on the ground doing that shit. You have no idea what's going on. Yet when they show you that as a player, they act like you then learned about that, and then they just go ahead with the story. Like, okay, so we saw that, and now we're doing this, and you know who those guys were because we showed you a cutscene because we're fucking making this like a goddamn Hollywood movie. And it's like, no, you idiots, that's not a game. That's not how you tell the story of a fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, it's more, there's no gameplay to games anymore, just go shoot shit.
Oh, the majority of mainstream games there is not. That's why I'm telling you, man, you gotta, like, if the world is anything, we go back to the segue of, dude, you need to play Hyper Light Drifter. That game is gameplay. You need to fucking play, fucking, what's this one that was amazing? It was, you need to play Bastion. You need to play, What Remains of Edith Finch. You need to fucking check out, Abzu. You need to fucking play one that's like so Nobi Nobi Boy. I don't even think that's on the PS4, man. I wish that was on the PS4. That was one of the most mindfuck games. Anybody out there, whoever is listening, if you are, has you ever played Nobi Nobi Boy? Was it not just like games try to be like, hey, we're weird, we're strange. It's like, no, you're not. You're not Nobi Nobi Boy. You're not Katamari. You're not. You're not.
There's no.
51 was good. Nobi Nobi Boy was about, I don't really know what it was about, but what I ascertained and I gleaned from my gameplay over the years was like, you were a stretchy boy. You are the Nobi Nobi Boy, and you stretch across the universe, and everything that you consume, because you're like an anaconda. Like the design was like you use both analog sticks to stretch yourself to macro proportions and micro proportions, and you can like swallow up things. So you're kind of like a big snake, but you're like a boy. And so the gargantuan mass that you become, and you start to land on these different universes and different worlds, because the bigger you get, you go step out of like the space-time continuum, and you can go to different places where like one universe is like a bunch of like equations running around with boots on, and another one is like black holes that walk dogs around that are actually policemen that are actually like fucking polar bears, and another one was like a world of geometric shapes that aren't really doing anything that looks like anything until you move, and the whole world moves around you, so the world is only alive when you're moving. And so as you visit these different dimensions and these different planets and these different planes of existence trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, there is another Nobi girl in the sky, and she's trying to stretch across the universe. And so every player that was playing the game at the time years ago would contribute their mass
They don't
to
make
the
them
girl,
like they used to
and it
anyway.
would make her grow across the universe, and you're trying to stretch across space and time, and you could literally stretch up into the stars, into the heavens, and you could see how far she stretched across space and time.
They don't make games like they used to because no one wants to spend the money on the games.
All they want is to get you into an economy, and they want to get you feeling like, man, I'm not shit if I don't have that skin. I could buy this thing.
Yeah, there's no, and a lot of it isn't even gameplay. But like the 30-minute loop.
A lot of it isn't even the 15-minute loop. Like if you think about, I love Warframe, but I'm going to fucking take a jab at Warframe. All we're really doing, if you're to the point of where we are in Warframe, besides the Railjack stuff, and I know that's all new content and things, but all you're really doing in that game at a certain point is you get on and it's telling you to do the gameplay loops of pick up, kill, loot, and what else? Find. Like it's like you pretty much just, you can kill things, and you can loot mods, and you pretty much have a 15-minute loop of running around, and I can run up and I can kill something, and I can pick up something, and I can run over there, and I can do an objective, and the objectives are the exact same thing every single fucking time. There is no dynamic, there's no flow to the gameplay of like you do something and it changes it up. There's no
dynamic
mechanics. Like going back to Breath of the Wild, man, there is so many, like the people that just beat that game in like a week, or you just ran through it. Like if you just ran across all of Hyrule, shame on you, man. That game is a fucking work of art.
Or if you just fast traveled.
Yeah, if you just fast traveled, if you just
I used to fast travel in games until I played The Witcher, and now I don't fast travel at all because that game was, that was the one game to make me realize like that you're supposed to experience.
You're missing out on everything when you fast travel around. Like your journey
and
is
you're not
supposed to
getting
be
your money's
like
worth.
Making it to the city, and like along the way, what characters you meet, and the immersion of like whenever you feel the scope of every story and every bit of nuance,
the
and every
characters
bit of, like,
you meet on the way,
and the world starts to like bubble up around you in a fine haze and a smoke that like inhales in your nostrils, and you literally get high on the universe of the game, and you feel like this fucking place is real, and you don't have to try to even fake like it is anymore. Because I play a lot of games, and there's a lot of games where I'm like, okay,
you have to fake liking the game.
Yeah, you have to straight up suspend your disbelief. You have to be like, all right, that weird looking polygon thing is a werewolf, I guess, and I guess I'm scared of it, so I'll run because I know if it mechanically touches me, I'm going to get a game over. But I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
But there are games where you're like, I am so fucking immersed right now. Like
Amnesia,
or like
Outlast.
I'm gonna shit myself.
Outlast, I would say.
Yeah, dude. When I was running through the fucking sewers from
until
Billy,
like later, like at the end game of Outlast is when the game starts to fall off for me.
Yeah,
but,
when it turns into like kind of a kitschy, like there has to be a boss fight and there has to be a climax.
Yeah, but the early game of Outlast is scary.
Oh, that was phenomenal. It was that game. Yeah, man, that was one of the best free PlayStation Plus experiences that I got early on. Like as that game, and you're like, the graphics were mind blowing. It was like showing what the PS4 could do. It truly looked real almost.
Outlast 2 is a good game too. I would say.
That's one I want to check out. I hear they took a lot of pages from like Far Cry 5, and like it's more like the religious cult run amok, and what is happening with that.
Oh no, I liked Outlast 2. It's just I just don't like. I don't know. I like that you were in an asylum in the first one.
Yeah, there's only so many games that I can be in an asylum in. I mean, we had The Evil Within, we have fucking
True.
Outlast, and then I was in the asylums in those games. Those ones last. BioShock is. Don't even get me started on BioShock, man. BioShock is my Maltese Falcon. BioShock is like my fucking Citizen Kane. BioShock is the reason why I think video games are the greatest art form ever created. BioShock is a standalone, one of the greatest. Allows you to, when most games fucking are like, hey, it's interesting because it's what we didn't show you, or isn't it interesting because now you're going to be thinking about the story that we never fucking explained, and everything that's left hanging up in the air, and all the cliffhangers that will never be resolved. But it's interesting because you're still thinking about it, right? If you fuck with BioShock, and BioShock 2 is just a way to revisit the land of Rapture again years later when it's being retaken by the scene, it's dilapidated, and there's not really, it's not as so much related to the lore and everything, but if you love BioShock, it's just a really cool experience. But BioShock and BioShock Infinite and all the DLCs, fucking, what was it, Beyond the Sea, I think, and then they had the one, or no, Stranded at Sea 1, 2, and all that. They are the most comprehensive, mind-boggling, multi-dimensional layers of, like, every one of the stories is linked to each other from the very beginning.
Yeah, your mic's glitching out. You should unplug your mic real quick. So yeah, I'm finna play BioShock, to be honest. I don't know, cause it was a PlayStation 3.
But it's like I said, man, gaming is, I can say all these things about it, but gaming is, and for me, BioShock is only an Xbox game. I would never play it on PlayStation controller because I grew up with the 360 and fucking BioShock, so it would just feel weird. Just like I would never play Metal Gear on an Xbox controller.
Yeah, I mean, I would never play certain games on fucking...
Or Kingdom Hearts on Xbox. Even though I really don't know it that much, but I played it when I was a kid and I played it on PS2. But I was like too young to understand what was going on, so I never made it past the part where you're getting swarmed by those little black imp shadow things, and then you're trying to get on the rocket.
What? Oh, damn, that's like early.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the prologue. But I was little. But again, it's like the thing of like gamers, like
yeah, no, Kingdom Hearts is a very, I don't know, to be honest, like now that I think about it, I don't even know why I'd call it a masterpiece, because when I think about it now, I didn't really understand
convoluted fucking Final Fantasy like Japanese melodramatic nonsense, but like it just looked like a really. Like, I remember the visuals of it and playing it early on, running in those dark chambers with, and that was probably before I played a million games where you run in a void and there's a bunch of floating platforms that you're running on and it's like, oh, it's magic.
Where is this?
The visuals of that game were fucking mind-blowing. Like Keyblades and the Shadow Hunters, those creatures, and the Final Fantasy characters mixed with the Disney characters who I knew. You know, it was crazy. It was like
I'm doing a podcast. I don't care.
And I wasn't even aware that was Final Fantasy at the time. I was like, whoever these fucking people are.
Well, yeah, no, Kingdom Hearts, all that really is just a Final Fantasy of like, all it really is a Final Fantasy, man. But it's very different from Final Fantasy in the sense of that it's Disney, but it's very different because this is back in a time where Disney, I believe, did have its magic, and it did have.
Oh yeah, man, there was one time where Disney, like one of the best games I've ever played is one of the best Disney games is Epic Mickey. That was on the Wii. That game is just a fun like painting, like if you love Disney and you're like a diehard fan of Disney, it's like a revisiting of everything from their forgotten years because you go to a world where all forgotten drawings and ideas go, and you meet Waldo, who was like the original. He was going to be Mickey in an alternate reality, and he's like a little tiny dog character or whatever. But he
I found out the way back.
A lot of like, it's basically like the Roger Rabbit of Walt Disney video games because it's like a who's who of all their history and their legacy. Like much what I said of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. It's like they take the entire legacy of this thing that people love and they just run with it and they let you, like, again, if Kingdom Hearts 3 had done that, man, I can't even probably like articulate what they probably would have done, but there'd be so much content. You'd probably have had like unlock this outfit of Sora from Kingdom Hearts 2, unlock these fucking companions from, you can play with, like, you can bring characters back from the past that were in other games and you can play with them in this game. Fucking, you can wear characters' outfits that you never could wear before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know.
Like allowing you to take the nature of what a game is, even after you beat it, and be like, well, let me fucking play with this. Like, there's not many games that let you do that anymore. Like when I beat Uncharted 2, and they're like, you want to run around as Fat Drake? You can do that.
No, well, the thing about like Kingdom Hearts is that like after I was done, and it was rare for these times to not have one and dones. You know, this was in the time where it was a one. Like I like one and dones, but I like you get to do the one and done, but if you really enjoyed the game, there's something else there, you know? Because there's some people that play a game and, you know, it might, like, they might not be able to let it go.
Oh, I can name plenty of literal one and dones. Like when you get to the credits, that's it. But for me, they're beyond worth it. Than more than most games in the past 5 years that I've spent probably 100 hours with. Like there's not like because they're more. You remember it. You have that beginning, middle, end, climax, and then you have the succinct feeling of experiencing it, having experienced what you came for.
Yeah,
like
no.
You get off the flight. And you
I was the one
thing.
That's the one thing about Kingdom Hearts that I liked is that it was very. Like, it was that one and done. Like, you had the journey, you had everything, and it almost, there was an adventure on the way, because you'd have to go to every planet to finish, well, not every planet, because there was certain ones, like, my game corrupted, so I couldn't do, Ariella's planet, or Ariel's, the Under the Sea, because I got to
just want to check it out, because it's like all the shit in Disney that I grew up with, and I'm like, I really don't care at this point because like you said, if it's not that great, then I might just check it out because I don't have anything to lose as far as what the fans lost. I think it looks like a cool game as far as like you get to go to fucking Toy Story 3 universe and Frozen and fucking all the classic Disney shit that like
that's the new Kingdom Hearts with Toy Story, and the old Kingdom Hearts was mainly Alice. Well, alright, so the first one had my favorite world in the thing was what's that one motherfucker, the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah, man. Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
every scene girl, emo girls, fucking Rosebud.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one, and fucking I think I would say another good one was like they had all these worlds, and fucking it was just cool because it was like you went through the journey of having to go to the planet. Like, I mean, eventually you can fast travel to planets once you get the warp drive until the final one, and that one's a pain in the ass because what I didn't know, I actually didn't know this, you can change the way your ship looks like, so you can customize your ship to fucking. So I didn't even know this till the end of the game, so I basically got stuck because I was like, how the fuck do you expect, because there's one ship mission that you had to do at the end of the game, and I just warped around everywhere, so like I didn't know this, and then fucking next thing you know, fucking next thing you know, fucking, you're fucking, like, you're in this, like, impossible situation, and then I'm like, oh shit, I can make a badass looking ship, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know you could do that, because they always give you these little parts and things, little things, and it's like, I never knew what you used them for, but, like, once I realized that there was that whole side of the game I didn't even know about. Like, I'm pretty sure there's side planets, too, that if you go, like, no,
like
there
they were
is.
games within themselves. It was like,
yeah, no, like, there was whole stories.
Rushed through.
Like when you're going to, oh my fucking god, Keegan. Fucking, when you go through these games and shit, like, alright, so when you're going to the Nightmare Before Christmas, a whale, like a whale in space, like as if you're some fish in the fucking water. As if you're some fish in the water.
Yeah, it's like moments like that where like they don't.
Yeah,
they're
just
losing with every game becoming a games as a service and a free to play and a battle royale, and you don't have to be that invested because your friends are gonna leaves you behind, or if you like want to buy the season pass, or it's all being lost when it's like when games did stuff like that, when games really like when you have a moment like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours in where you're wrapped up in the fiction and the adventure that you as these characters are partaking in, it's like truly a magical thing that like just like it's like that
You
moment
live as
where
that
you look
character.
up from reading a book and you forgot where you were, or you finish a movie and like you get to like chills. It was so fucking good. It's like there are games like that. It just takes about fucking 30 hours to really get into that universe to be like,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Well, I mean, in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think what they really tried to do is they really tried to push space exploration, but I don't know, it didn't interest me as much with that game because that shit was so fucking hard, man.
Every game always seems to think that the end all be all is space. I mean, Call
Like,
of Duty did it.
I'm
Mario
I'm
did it.
thinking
What's Odyssey went back there? Go to space. We didn't go to space.
fucking
Fine. Well, no, yes, we did. You went to
my
space. and
fucking God, man.
Or the moon. Went around
Well,
with a
no,
dog
I
with a
mean,
space
no, I
shuttle.
don't think the end all be all is space, but look, like, I might need to replay the game just to see, well, because I feel like when I played the game, I was just trying to finish it as almost like a one and done, but I want to go see what they really have to offer, because maybe I just missed something, maybe there's some, like, hidden shit for fans that I just didn't know about, like, because I don't know, I feel like they were smarter than that, like, there's shit in the game that no one's really experienced because no one gave a fuck about it, but it could have been like the coolest shit because there was like a real time, almost as real time as you can get to fucking like when you're in the game, fucking I don't know, it's a lot of shit, man. It's a lot of shit.
And they don't really want to make games with a lot of shit anymore because then you don't have to buy anything from them after the fact.
Yeah, but it's like
Like it's kind of sad
it's
now. how a
all
lot of-
for me. It's credibility, and it's like they use their credibility, and it's kind of annoying because it's like
Oh yeah, they know that like most
they
gamers
know
don't
who they
understand
are.
that whenever these things get to you, like by the time people have their grubby little hands on their fucking controllers and they're playing GTA 6, it will be a different team. It'll just be the brand of Rockstar. Sam and Dan Houser and Leslie Benzies, they're all gone. It is not going to be the same thing, but they don't ever expect, and they know that most gamers don't even care at all about it because it's the same thing. They look at it and they're like, oh, it's the same guys. It's Bungie. It's Rockstar. It's a logo. I
Yeah.
trust that logo. It's like
It's the
not
branding.
it's not that team anymore. It's just a fucking name. It's just a fucking brand.
Yeah, it's a dead
Like,
legacy.
Bungie's gone. The guys that made the original Saints Row, Volition is gone. Like in Infinity Ward, they're
And they
gone.
just know they have that name as the brand.
yeah.
They're
and then
like,
most people will
because
line up and they'll get it.
whenever games come out nowadays, it's more like it doesn't even feel like it's about the game; it's about the brand. Like Activision, you know, they put that big ass logo.
Yeah.
It's
And
more
dude,
about
is
the
anybody
brand.
still playing or talking about fucking Black Ops 3 or Modern Warfare,
Nope.
World War 2? There will
And all
always be the
those games,
multiplayer
like,
community for Call
and
of
the
Duty. There will always
saddest
be the
part about
diehards.
it is that, like,
But I hate that they really went away from the campaign. Those games used to be something epic.
I don't know. I don't know, cause I don't know.
Like
I
I said, man, it may
played.
be before your time, but Modern Warfare, fucking, and the original Call of Duties, like Big Red 1 and fucking Call of Duty 2, and pretty much after Modern Warfare, like that was the beginning of like
The end.
a new age of. No, Modern Warfare was the beginning of a new age for shooters. Modern Warfare was like transferring, like with the transition from the Quake, Deus Ex, Half-Life, BioShock era to fucking
Like even when even when
Prey,
a
Doom.
Call of Duty game comes out, it's not even about the game, it's the brand that's making the game. Now that I think about it, because out of what's the game called? Out of Time, out of like, or what's the one game that's like Fallout, but it's like futuristic? Fuck.
The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, the Outer Worlds. If you think about that game, what do you think about? The game, the Outer Worlds, or the brand that's making it, Obsidian, because they did such a good Fallout?
Yeah, that's what people are going to. It's like that's why people would. You don't even have to think about buying the Outer Worlds because if you like New Vegas and if you like Obsidian, but still, then I'm still hesitant these days because I'm like, is that Obsidian? or is it just the name?
Yeah. Like I never, like I don't even, I think I just maybe had a fucking epiphany, but holy shit, like, is it really that, are we really that fucked to where the game doesn't matter, it's just the brand that brings you the game?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all they want to turn it into now is the cash crop that it is, and where every bit of the microtransaction money is going. It's like,
You
just
don't
want
make
you
the
to get in
money
here
from the game, you make the
and do
money
this
from the
for me.
merch. You don't, everything is merch.
Yeah,
Buy my
and why would
merch.
they ever spend
Just
their
like Jake
time
Paul
working
said,
on
buy my
stories?
merch. Buy my merch so I can keep being a fuck up. Buy my merch so I can live my life and you can watch me live my life. Buy my merch.
That's what
I mean,
everybody wants to do. Everybody just wants to find out a way to get their money and find their little island, find their little cove, get the fuck out.
yeah.
They can do it while selling you a joke or selling you the key
Like all
to...
a rich person is gonna look like, oh, this whole coronavirus is. But motherfucker, I live on my own island. I don't care.
Yeah, Elon Musk will just shoot himself into space, and he'll be alone. It's lonely out in space.
Because if space is real, then we're kind of fucked because everybody's just gonna go to space. That's if it's real, though. Who knows if it's really real these days? Because no one knows if anything's true.
I just don't care anymore. It's like you
Doesn't
can't,
even matter.
nothing will
What?
affect your life. What will affect your life is that if we don't die of corona, fucking the winter will come back, and it'll come back, and it'll come
Hard.
back until you die.
Yeah.
If you don't prepare, that'll be the reality. People think it matters beyond, like, if, like, there's so many, did you know there was going to be a game where you played as a president, and you got to basically be, like, behind the Iron Curtain, and in
Or
the
it'd get to
cinematic
simulate,
seat of, you could, like
what it'd be
budgets
like
for
to be like in the
countries and
shoes of. Well, there are games
figure
like that
out
now that I
the,
think about, like dictator games, though.
yeah, but that's like the PC type style of, like, Sid Meier's Civilization, or, what's that one, loot, it's like that one that's Cuban, it's like, you're supposed to be like Castro or whatever, but it's like,
I don't know.
Venezuela. It's another PC game.
I know
It's,
Tropico is like a game where you're
yeah,
supposed to be a
Tropico. That's
dictator.
what it is.
Yeah,
Tropico.
that game you're supposed to be a dictator of an
That's so-
island, and you get to play as the
Yeah, it's basically
president.
like Cuba.
Yeah, and you get to decide where like what countries you go to war on. You can like
For me, I
hire.
never liked those type of games because I want to like actually feel like the guy. Like
Yeah, like
I
you
would love
wanted to
game
have
like
a
that where I could
first-person
dynamically
narrative.
walk down the White
The-
House and just like slap somebody in the face, or fucking go out and like call a press conference and like go out to the podium like on national TV, and then just like while the game is filming you in real time, you could then just emote or like flip people off or like say stuff in your speech tree like
Yeah, like
I'm going to
you.
bomb.
Yeah, like
And you
I'm
could cause mass pandemonium. That'd be really fun because you could see it from the ground level of like
of
that's
the
what games are
person.
fun for. Because it's not, for me, it's not fun to see the 30,000 foot view of like, look at all these little ants scurrying in panic. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's also another thing that's very indicative of what PC gamers and what console gamers think like, and why we're so different, is because most console games are set from the position of like, you are the boots on the ground, grunt, soldier, space marine, fucking badass ninja dude, and you're the one that's going to get it done, and you're going to be like behind the scope of the
You're-
gun. You're basically like, don't ask any questions, like you're here on the very like ground
Because they
floor
can't,
of
because
the
they
event.
can't do those type of games, because those
And so
games
console
only
gamers
work.
are basically like the because they always say that console gamers are like stupid and kitty and baby, and like they can't do complex games, and PC games are so different, and it's like they're just the guy. They're basically like the guys in real life who are the soldiers on the ground, like just tell me where to go. We got the objective. All right, we're gonna go in here and kill 5 insurgents. No friendly fire. Like, and that's all they know, and that's all they need to know. And then the PC guys are like the actual guys that are watching them from the AC-130s, that are in the drones,
Yeah.
that are fucking in the satellites, that are like looking at the 30,000
Oh, there's
foot
some
view, that are the
games that-
globalists, that are the guys that make the fucking war.
Well, there are some games that do that, but
For
yeah,
me, that's
though,
how I
it's
know I'm a
very-
console guy through and through, because I'd rather be the guy down on the ground, like running up to an alien, like, motherfucker, like, Earth, bitch! Rather than like a PC guy, like, unfeeling up in like the satellite, just like And I'm going to send 30,000 men to die in that canyon that will buy us some time.
Yeah, no, fucking, no, it's very much like that, and honestly, I think I'm the same way, like, I don't know, but I wouldn't mind doing, like, all that stuff, like, oh, I'm the guy, but as long as it's in a first-person view, like, imagine, like, if you're that motherfucker from a first-person view, you know?
Yeah, that would be an interesting VR game. Like you're literally
Yeah,
sitting up in a satellite pod and you can see like the Earth down below.
you're just,
You're directing units and nukes and
yeah,
you're just like an AI
and
in a satellite. You're like a
and
war
there's
satellite.
people
I think
talking
it's a
to
very
you and
interesting VR
shit,
game.
and there's people talking to you shit, and they're like, sir, and then you gotta walk to your boss's room, fucking all pissed off because you probably, like, I don't know. It's very interesting because there's not that. What if you're playing a game and you get to, like where you're like, goddamn. Like, alright, let's bring it back to, like, presidents. What if you're playing a game where fucking... Hold up. Alright, what if you're in a game where fucking you'd be a part of some fucking... Like, you're... Alright, so let's bring it back to presidency, right? What if you get to walk down the city that you built up and and like if you can decide whether you don't have protection or not because like let's say like you needed high protection and you needed to pay for high protection in the game or else there will be some motherfucker that will be mad at you and
Trying
pissed
to
off.
assassinate you.
Yeah, fucking, or like maybe you're that good guy that everybody likes, so you're like, you feel untouchable, you know?
Yeah. You
Like,
get
what?
like a perk where like if you're about the city and someone
Yeah,
tries to assassinate you and you have a buff on, one of your guys will dive in front of the bullet, but you can only have that like once a day and it has to recharge or whatever.
yeah, and like you get to go to all these different countries and make deals and like very immersive shit, and you get to see the people that you're affecting.
Yeah,
Like
that'd
you
be way
start.
more interesting than being one of the Secret Service dudes with a gun and like doing shit. It's like, no, now you're the guy that those dudes are protecting, and now you're behind the scenes with like, we're gonna go to this Saudi Arabian billionaire's house and
Yeah, and you
fucking
get to
rig an
go in
election
the
and it's
house.
fictional. You could never have this game. This is why, because people would be like, what if it's like this?
Or they're like, I don't care, or they're like, fucking too much money to make it. Like they're like, what if we don't get our fucking return on the game, or what if it's fucking mind blowing, and goddamn, the opportunity for change. The whole thing about gaming is that nobody's looking for change anymore. They just want the
Because the
static
budgets
same
are so
shit.
ludicrously high and through
Yeah.
the roof at levels of like 400, 300 million for games. It's like they need to make it back and they need to make it back quick. So it's only about an idea that will sell and will be lucrative. They can't take a chance on anything interesting or innovative or new. They need the next best quick time event, first
Give me the
person
best
shooter,
big thing. Guess give me the next big thing. It's always
Afghanistan or fucking wherever they are.
well. It's not really wherever they are. It's wherever they store their money because they can't just take all the money out and just say it's theirs because then it gets taxed. They need to say that
Yeah,
they're
I was
investing it
reading an
into newer
article
ventures.
probably like 5 years ago now. And it was
Look,
saying
like
that
any of you
Activision
guys
has
that want to start their own
$11.7
business,
billion dollars.
any of you guys that want to start your own business, I'm gonna explain it to you right now. If you take all the money out for your business, you will get fucked in the ass because you will get taxed. So what you need to do is you need to put that money into like basically say you need to put that money in a different country and say that that's the money that you used to invest, and you need to move to Florida where you do not get taxed for a living, and fucking you
Genuine
will
Podcast does not endorse financial advice.
like I could be saying I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but look, I know enough to know this is that like look, don't do what I'm saying because I could be completely wrong, but look,
But listen up, yo.
but listen, like yeah, like if you're gonna make your own company, you need to outsource the money and protect your money, and then take your money out slowly.
Well, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on these.
You need to say that that money is basically gonna be invested into newer things, or else they will tax you,
Freddie Mac.
or invest it back into the company. Now, how much they really invest into gaming, I honestly don't even know anymore. Probably nothing these days, because production value and it's so damn high that if they want to do anything new, it's got to be stressful unless they have low budgets like indie. But imagine if all these indie developers,
I can't even imagine that the budget for that game wasn't probably near 500 million, 400 million dollars, because they did not put out the projections for how much it failed to make or made. Because that game, I mean, dude, that game has Norman Reedus, fucking Conan O'Brien, Guillermo del Toro, multiple other actors that I can't name.
These indie developers had half their
Death Stranding, and it failed. I'm pretty sure it flopped. Days Gone beat it in its first opening week. I'm still happy about that.
And it's almost sad because it's like that's the beginning of the end. There's no like that's basically telling you right there there's not going to be any more good games because
oh no, man, the government recently just bailed out the entertainment industry for like $9 billion, I think, and like they said Hollywood can take like a $25 billion loss, so it's like they pretty much just got a shot of stimulus, so now it's going to be all good. So it's like nothing is going to end anytime soon. But yes, the stagnation and the mediocrity of the industry just starts to be too much to handle. That's why I say go indie. Like you will not believe the amount of interactive, fun, interesting.
But yet the sad thing about indie is that they don't have these production budgets. They don't have, if
you haven't paid attention to what's happening in the indie space since, like, what was it, Torture, no, what was that one that came out? It was like he played as that chick and she was mentally ill, Sekiro, Blind Soul, or not Sekiro, forget her name, but it was the one on the Xbox, and it was like, where you play as a woman and her lover had died, and she's like in the ancient, I think like it was in either Norway or somewhere up in Europe or Sweden. It's like you are basically a Celtic ancient warrior. Your husband dies. You're going to the promised land, but like you're insane. So the game was like schizophrenia, and you had like voices in your head. And they did it with basically a AAA budget, but they did it at a like AAA production values, but at an indie.
Oh, really? Well, maybe.
And so games now, a lot of indie games have started to cross the gap between looking like an indie game, but now they have like, because so many developers are leaving and the exodus out of the industry is bigger than ever with so many developers that have been doing this all their lives. Now they have their own indie studio and they're ready to make a go for themselves. And so you have lots of games like What Remains of Edith Finch, or the some of these free-to-play games that are coming out now, and like what was this one that I just played recently? It was like they are starting to approach the level of they are indistinguishable from being AAA, but they're more unique and more innovative and more fun.
Yeah, no, it's very much, I don't know.
Like Concrete Genie or
Besides, the thing is that eventually they're gonna sell out to people because eventually gaming and business don't collide together well. Like
when you try to make it a business and you try to turn it too much into we only want the money and we don't want the art, it's like then how are you supposed to get the money? I'm all for loving your art so much that you do want to survive off it, you do want to make a living, you want to turn it into a way to pay your bills. I mean, we're doing this podcast, aren't we?
Yeah.
But they turn it into like, we want all the money in the heavens and the earth, and then we want to keep asking you for more, and if you think it's too much, shut up and go buy the game. Go buy the Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4 pass. Go buy the next game because we just made the game and everything you just spent on it irrelevant. Like, the people that love Destiny, ask yourselves how much money you spent on Destiny 1 if you stayed there from the beginning and you bought every DLC, every expansion pass, and then they fucked you and came out with Destiny 2, and you bought every DLC, every expansion pass, and then they fucked you and made it all free to play.
Yeah.
Do you really think they give a fuck about you, the art, the gamer, the fucking why? The reason why they can afford to do this and make their little fantasies a reality is because you're there manipulating the stakes.
Yeah,
No.
no, it's very
No.
much.
When you play something like The Witcher 3, you can tell that they care. They really care about the people that were going to play this game. I mean, there's that whole...
Yeah, and
I don't know if
even
you
on
got it used or
Instagram, they
whatever, but
talk
there's
about
that
they're
whole
like
notice in the
gamers didn't need to do this or that.
Yeah.
Like I know the people that like for Cyberpunk and shit. It's very much like they say like, oh, gamers shouldn't need to do this.
It's like, don't tell gamers what they can and can't do. The medium of games, which is more over interactive entertainment, I think is the best moniker. It's like what it basically is, because a lot of them that aren't games, it's interactive entertainment. Everything else is just passive entertainment. This is interactive. You become part of the art. If you don't take the first steps, if you don't press start, all the greatest works of art, all the greatest games are, when you really think about it in all reality, without you, the player, all they are is start screens.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
Movies could play forever without anybody here. If you just sent them all on repeat and you had a reality of movies playing, they could just be the art that they are without an audience. It's kind of interesting if you think about film in that way. It's why people think of it deeper. That's why they look at it as more of a all-encompassing art form as to what the human experience is, or as to put our souls on display or whatever. But I think games are that. But again, people have to be willing to press start.
Yeah, and that's the reason why video games will never be as big as movies or be as big as anything like that.
Yeah, because it's very esoteric. You have to be able to, like The Witcher 3, I know a lot of people that would love that game.
Yeah, they're not gonna get into like the whole thing about. Oh no. Why would I do that? Why would I deal
After
with
the Griffin kills them the first few times, or they haven't got to Novigrad yet, or they're like, God, where's my gun? Like, where's my gun, man? Fuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gamers like that, where they're like, do I get a gun? Do I get like I get a crossbow. This is fucking lame.
Yeah, it's very much guns, which I don't think
That's the whole thing
should
about Death
be.
Stranding that was interesting, like having to shoot the BTs with your blood, and it makes it to where like you need to have blood packs on you, otherwise it's going to come out of your body and you're going to get anemic, and if you're running through the fucking Paleozoic ocean bed that is America now for your fucking life, they're going to probably get you because you're not going to do too well being anemic on the battlefield. But in a lot of ways, that is the SJW politics of Death Stranding, like, when you use guns, you hurt other people and yourself.
Well,
It's like, oh god.
I liked that for like.
But it's interesting as a gameplay mechanic, dude, as turning gameplay tropes and mechanics that I've seen my whole life on their heads, Death Stranding does a lot of that. But again, you can look at the politics of why it's doing it, and then you can see it as like, okay, I like this. Go fuck yourself, Kojima.
Yeah. It's very much like that.
It's just ridiculous what some of them do, and it's like you wasted.
It's like they
this.
try and say guns can hurt people, but I don't know if I even really think about it like that anymore, because it's like, it's very much,
Guns don't kill people. Husbands that come home early do.
Yeah, no, it's very much like I think Witcher was a great game for that example, that it showed consequence, but
You're not just running around in a world as the player and a million other things that you played up to the point. Like, I'm sorry, but at a certain point of gaming, I start to ask myself,
use someone that
is there more
subscribed to
than
me.
just being a badass with a sword or a badass
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
gun, and you
can
come
play.
in when you're a boy? That's pretty cool. I mean, games like that, when they blow your mind, they blow your mind. The first game like that is always going to be the first game like that. But as you get older, you're like, man, I need more nuance. I need more subtlety. Like, when you find that there's actual consequence to what you've been doing the whole time, and you get a whole village killed, you're kind of just sitting there with the controller, like
you just let some crazy virus out. You just started the whole coronavirus. It's like, holy shit, I just did that. It's consequence, but they don't fucking rub it in your face saying like, oh, goddamn, you know that's not right, right? Like, you
Yeah.
know, like, oh, you
They just
know.
like they let it
It's
happen.
like, it
very
shows
adult.
you,
It's
you
like,
get to feel the
you
effects of
made
what
your
happened.
choices, and now they're dead.
Yeah.
You made your choices, and he hung himself, and his family died. You made your choices,
Okay.
and you may have had sex last night, but this morning you got into a vicious wizard fight, and you had to kill her and leave her body on the island.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's very much, you feel the effects.
They don't want to treat gamers like, because again, it's the lowest common denominator. It goes back to what gaming has become, and now it's catered to a bunch of kids that just got PS4s or Xbox Ones not only a few years back or this generation, and now it's all for kids. Now it's going to be very, like, gaming will never be looked at as film or literature or anything legitimate or bona
Yeah.
fide, because it's got this stigma of like, oh, that's a baby's toy, that's for kids. Like, you still play video games? Like, again, I
Yeah.
fucking hate that term. It just sounds so video games. It's like this, the majority of, can you call Grand Theft Auto 5 a video game or an interactive experience?
Yeah,
Because it's not
That's-
really a game. There's not really points. There's not really like the world. Even Grand Theft Auto Online, the world you're trying to live in and immerse yourself into being like a fucking kingpin level, like supervillain drug like. You really have to be immersed in that. You can't just get on and be like, boom, I'm shooting some guys, getting points, getting stuff. It's not really like a game anymore. It's an
I wish they
experience.
did
It's
the
a-
drug dealing better in Grand Theft Auto because I really don't feel like I'm selling drugs anymore. I feel like I'm just going from point A to point B for a lot of those, like CEO missions. You know what I'm talking about? Like they don't feel like drug deals, you know?
I wouldn't know. I fucking haven't played GTA Online in a long time. I loved the drug dealing in Chinatown Wars. That was the best mechanic in any Grand Theft
How
Auto.
did it work?
It was like you had to go and buy because Chinatown Wars was in the style of the original Grand Theft Autos. It was top down. It was bird's eye view.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was like you had to go around and buy different drugs from, like, you go over to the Asians and you get like ecstasy or downers from them because the Jamaicans need those at a low price. You're gonna sell them downers and then they're gonna sell you enough to buy their weed really cheap. And you're gonna go across town to the fucking Albanians or the Russians.
where
and they
they
need
were
that
gonna-
stuff. And then you'd have to like, you'd actually like when you're at the drug deal, they took advantage of the touchscreen. You'd actually like on the top screen, you'd see your characters standing in the alleyway with the drug dealer, but you'd just see the top-down view, you know? But on the bottom screen, you'd see the guy, and there's like different dynamic drug dealers every time, but it was like the art of how Grand Theft Auto loading screens they look, you know, those like painted, drawn images, how
Yeah.
iconic the art style of it is. So it'd be like a drug dealer right there, and then you tap his duffel bag with your stylus, and he'd open it up, and you'd like actually drag.
Like look at what's in the look at the product.
Yeah, you look at the product and you see like bags of coke in there, or ecstasy, or pills, or weed,
Oh,
or whatever,
wow.
and you'd like drag them from his bag to yours, then zip up your bag, then put it in your trunk and close the trunk. Sometimes the cops would bust you and you'd have to get the fuck. Other times it would go smoothly and you'd drive away and make a nice sale. You'd get more and more, like the more drug dealing that you did, you'd get like commemorative jeweled encrusted bongs to put in your apartments and different like
Little
like diamond
collectibles.
needles and like downer pills and stuff that were like for recognizing your efforts in distributing downers or weed or all sorts. Like the drug dealing mechanic, dude, was a whole part of that game.
Damn. I wish I could have experienced that, but honestly, that you said that's
Out of
on like
all the
the
Grand Theft Autos, Chinatown Wars, I don't care. That's my favorite Grand Theft Auto of all of them. And
Yeah.
it's the killer app for the DS. Like it made from the app for the DS. That game was. It showed how powerful the fucking DS was. DS was no slouch. They got every island from Grand Theft Auto 4 except for the little island Bohan.
I thought it was in
They
China.
got every island in there. No, it's in Chinatown. Chinatown Wars.
Oh. Okay,
Play
now that
as,
I
young
never really
triad
understood
son
why they call
who's
it
come to the country to
Chinatown.
take
Is
his
it
soul.
like cuz China I feel like they don't
It's really
deserve
just a little ethno state within New York. It's where all the Chinese are. They have their own little town. They have their own little district, Chinatown.
them. Well, they
Everybody
had
else, man.
Chinatown up
Everybody else
in
play the game. Like,
Well, they had Chinatown up in like in other cities that I know of. I just never understood why they called it like Chinatown, you know?
yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Chinese don't deserve that much for everything that they've done. Like, for how many people the Chinese have fucked. They've even
Well,
fucked
they
up their
took our
own.
entire economy. I mean, growing up, it was like you look at everything, you're like, made in China, made in China, made in
Yeah.
China, made in China.
Yeah. Everything's made in China.
My controller, made in China.
Yeah, it's almost like
I
maybe.
think this red wall is made in, oh, made in China.
Oh wow.
Is this Zelda Amiibo made in China?
Well, Chinese are gonna take over one day, that's for sure.
How about my little capsules from the dispensary? I don't think they have a made in on them.
I don't think they'd be made in China. If they are, then that's fucking mind-blowing.
I thought this Nathan Drake pop
Cause why would Chinese have anything to do with weed? Why would they want?
made in China. Yeah,
Oh,
man.
wow.
Like, you think about how much that, like, everything in your fucking house, in your room, in the vicinity of where you're at, you can probably pick up and touch right now.
The
is
can made in China. The can
It's
that's on
like-
my table made in China.
Yeah. It's insane. They took our manufacturing power. They absolutely fucked us. We sold out the country to everybody else.
Yep, now it's just we're waiting for them to take over.
Yeah, we really fucked ourselves in the sense that they produce all our medicines. So if we fuck around, like China's like fuck around and find out.
Yeah, fuck around.
I don't know. I
They'll
mean,
send-
your medicine might not arrive. You know, I mean,
yeah.
you keep accusing us. Like, we didn't start the fire.
What are you, fucking white racist?
Yeah, that's anything of like wanting to close down the border, be quiet, and
And Chinese don't give a fuck too.
Hmm.
Chinese will kill you. See, that's the difference. Is that like we've
yeah,
been
they're
so
just around because they
desensitized.
have
We've
a
been so
communist regime. They're
we-
just going around welling up people inside their houses. They come by, literally just weld the apartment doors. Or they
Yeah,
have
like-
videos. I've seen videos of them driving up and throwing this woman into the this metal box in the back of a truck, and she's just like screaming hysterically as they drive off.
yeah. They don't care. They don't fuck around. Which I'm not saying, but like everybody these days are so desensitized and so sensitive. Like, all right. So if you really care that much about like someone like Trump,
Well, desensitized and sensitive would be an oxymoron.
well, I mean, all right. So like, if you really are gonna care about like, let's say someone like Trump, like one, it's not one person, but like, all right. So let's say you can never get past that fact that Trump doesn't really matter and that one person doesn't make the whole system. If you can never get past that, and you're just so sensitive, like, oh, you so fucking this or that, like,
So salty.
like, what does it really like? What do you have? Like, what do you like? Like, if some Chinese fucker was gonna take over, what you think you're gonna goddamn shoot at him? Oh,
Yang Gang would never gonna do anything. I mean, the monthly $1,000 a month was probably gonna be cool. That was like the icing on the cake while society burns. But yeah, he dropped out. Everybody pretty much dropped out. Klobuchar, Yang, in Kamala Harris,
and all the
Tulsi Gabbard. Only anybody ever wanted to do was fucking milk her. She was never gonna be a serious candidate. But Poll, she was basically their what do they call her? They call her mommy. Because she had all those, and she knew what she was doing. Tulsi Gabbard was, for a congresswoman, she was from Hawaii. She was hot as hell. She kept putting out those workout videos and like gym videos and stuff. It's like, you know, what you're doing, lady.
Yeah. But I mean, look, like if something was like that to happen to us and we were like, we're gonna die, like, and we're gonna die very painfully, and we would get slaughtered like goddamn animals. But I don't really care. Like for me, it doesn't really matter. I already know that fucking Like, a lot of people, like, the whole rule and the reason why, like, the First Amendment is even a thing is that way we don't get taken over. Because the militaries can't do shit. Our military isn't half as strong. Like, what we are protected by, geography and oceans over, not like on North America or South, well, South America's fucked, but in North America, it's probably the safest. If you go anywhere outside, you will get goddamn slaughtered. And with Canada opening up their borders and fucking, like, they're just trying to goddamn sandwich and take people from both sides. So it really doesn't matter. It's happening.
Yeah, I still have an entire backlog of games that I really want to get into. Like that moment where you're like, I'm finally playing this game. I'm not treating it like I need to beat this shit. I need to beat this shit. Like you're just like enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we have a backlog, it turns into a lot of. You don't want to turn it into a job of like, I gotta beat this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. Like you're not even fucking experiencing them.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just like, beat it, move on, beat it, move on, beat it, move on, beat it, move on.
Well, yeah, that's why.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2, I played that game, and what I played was pretty mind blowing mechanically. My favorite part were the subtle, quiet moments at night in the camp with the other people. Like it was to have other games like that designed on that level where you can hang out with AIs like in that capacity. It was fucking bonkers. Like
yeah, imagine if you could hang out though. Like you could do the hangouts worked like, cause they didn't. I was mad that they didn't have that in the game. That you couldn't just hang out with the characters, you know?
Yeah.
Like imagine if you could hang out, like even after the game, you can't like even after the game, there's nothing to do. Like you can't even hang out with his son. I was trying to like, cause you know like how there's a scene where he takes his son fishing, and it's like I think it was like for the first time or some shit. Like you can't do that. You can only do that once. Like imagine like, and you can't just go like in the part of the game where you go to with fucking what's his name and get really fucked up at a bar. You can't do that. You can't do that twice.
Yeah, that mission was one of my favorite missions early on until you realize that that was some of the more SJW stuff because that's them using Arthur as a cipher to be like, you see, Arthur's okay with black people. Why can't you fucking faggots be? And it's like, okay, no, Arthur is not realistically written as a character anymore in this universe at all.
That is true, but
I'm not a racist. But and again, they want you to say that, and the fact that we have to say that nowadays, it's like racism is just a word they throw at you when they're tired of arguing with you, when they have nothing left to do. It's just like
or sexist. It's the same thing.
Isms or ists or it's just the way that they silence dissent. But for him to be like and looking at it as like, well, other people are wrong for doing that, feller. It's like that's so it's unbelievable.
Wait, he said that? I don't even remember him saying that.
He basically, in so many words, like, is telling him, like, geez, people discriminate you for the color of your skin.
Oh, yeah, like when they go to the slaves.
Like, he can't understand it. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. That just makes him point out as, like, a fucking cipher, a faceless, like, golem of a character of political ideals and their propaganda that they want to just shove their hand up his ass and then make it like the rest of the game is like a fucking period piece. It's like being in the Old West.
The thing I liked about the thing I liked about the thing I liked about let's say Rockstar, I liked like if you look at the signs in Rockstars, you see all this like it almost shows you propaganda. It shows you what they want you to believe. Like I was looking around and I just found a new sign that I've never seen before, and they're trying to legalize in the politics of the game. They're trying to legalize yeah, I didn't even know about that. To like.
Yeah, there's so many jokes. There's so many. What I love about Rockstar's sense of humor too is like our capitalistic sex sells American society. Like a lot of the stuff in the game where you look at like Coffee Bean or.
Like in Red Dead,
that donut hole thing is clearly supposed to be a butthole.
Like in Red Dead, there's no jokes about the Wild West. There's no. Maybe in the first one.
In Red Dead Redemption 2 there is, but what I love about Red Dead Redemption is that it's a period piece. It just feels like being back in time. Like everybody you talk to feels like they're a character back in time. Like it just feels like an absolute Western epic. Whereas the first Red Dead I love it. It's a masterpiece for what it is, but it still is very much like Grand Theft Auto in the Old West because it's a lot of satire and commentary on like the expansion and the railroads coming through and the beginning of civilization and the genocide of the American Indian and.
Yeah, I guess that was true about the Indian shit. That was the one thing that kind of annoyed me. I was like, I didn't like as much as I know.
Oh yeah, and how about the fact that guy was? I'm sorry, I know there's people out there that exist like that, but again, it just felt like them creating a character that they needed to create, and he was of half black, half Native American. Are you fucking kidding me? Like it was like they're trying to check off all the boxes to be woke. And it's like, it no longer becomes like, I can believe this is organic, this is a story. It's like, this is propaganda, and you can go fuck yourselves because you're bastardizing the art. There's no such thing as fundamentalist art. Fundamentalist art is propaganda. Art is left open to interpretation. Art it presents you with the issues rather than hitting you over the fucking head with them. It recontextualizes your world and your contemporary problems, the zeitgeist, if you will, and it makes you think about it differently. It doesn't just slap you over the head with
not woke
hey,
enough,
look at
man.
This. We made it like where you're in America, but it's after the Death Stranding. But when we talk about before the Death Stranding, we're talking about Trump's America. It's like, you wasted this entire game. You wasted this entire platform just so you could get up here and just hit me over the head with a gavel.
With something I've heard about and I hear about.
Bad, stupid flyover people. Bad.
And the thing is, they don't want you to talk about it. It's like, but you got to, because it's like you got to call them out, you know? Like there is an anarchy type system where it's like,
call them out, man.
Like someone does something good till someone gets called out for it. But yet, how they try to flip it on you is they have more money than you, so they can call you out on anything. They can call you out.
They have fuck you money. If you don't have fuck you money, well, fuck you.
Yeah, if you don't have fuck you money, then fuck you. I love that. If you don't have the fucking...
Like, dude, Sam and Dan Houser, whatever they do, off of what GTA 5 did, and not even to mention the other games, because there's nothing wrong with putting some back from your efforts, and they still put everything into the games while they made them. They have, even if not off of just Max Payne 3 and Red Dead Redemption and fucking GTA 5 and GTA 4 and everyone, and especially Grand Theft Auto 5, the entertainment behemoth that became, like, dude, they have fuck you money in some. Like, they don't have to do anything ever again, Dan, as Lee Benz.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, they don't need to worry about that type of shit.
As much as I love video games, I've always had that cognitive dissonance. Like, can you imagine being the guy that, like, is so smart that you can design something that somebody will spend 5 years of their life on and pay you money for, and you just keep making dividends on it? Like, Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. People are still playing it.
And people are still buying it.
Yeah, man. People are still getting on, buying it brand new, getting on the online.
But yet now it's not even like all the people that buy it nowadays. Their parents won't even let them buy it. Cause like I remember when I was a kid, I was like, but now that I think about it, like now that I really played the story and shit, like if I was to buy that game now, I'd buy it purely for the story. Like I wish I don't know, because when I was younger, I just wanted to drive around, not really kill a bunch of people, you know, like everybody thought.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the most immersive role-playing games ever. I find when I play as the different characters, I role-play as what they would probably do.
Yeah. And it's like very much Trevor, like the whole thing about roleplay is that shit is dead. Like I was just playing this new heist and we were doing it away and I was trying to walk through.
Yeah, that's why I'm done with the online, because I'm not gonna fucking have gamers like ruining what these people design. Like, cause when I've done the heist, how they're supposed to be, how the fucking brilliant game developers design them, it's a magical experience. When all you and your friends jump off the fucking whatever those kinetic energy bikes were called in the Pacific Standard job, and you all parachute in that brief moment where you hear the bikes like zzz as they all hit the canyon floor and explode. You can't, like, that is literally like taking you and a group of friends and allowing you to interactively play out the trope that you've seen in fucking Point Break and fucking every heist film that is like going beyond books and movies again. But then gamers,
The one thing I
again,
didn't
have to
like,
take it
though-
and gamify it, and they're like, oh, fuck that, bro, we're just gonna ride there in the armored car and listen to fucking NPR. It's like, that, fuck you, you fucking... You think I want to turn my life, my fucking hobby, into a systematic conveyor belt of like, we're getting the points, we're doing the process, we're getting the points, we're doing the process. That's my fucking job. I
Yeah.
hate gamers in the sense that they're like, we're gonna gamify it to the point where it's not even fun anymore. And it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because you don't want to die, and you're making it a fucking... Then they would never tell themselves that it's anything deeper. They're like, I just want to level up, bro. I gotta fill up those bars. I gotta fill up those bars. Yeah, God forbid you go out in life and try to fill up a bar and realize that that's not even gonna do it. So they gotta gamify it, and they gotta gamify this, and they get a lot farther if they gamify their lives.
Can I
The
ask
one thing I
the
don't do
topic?
anymore.
Huh?
Can I
What's up?
ask the topic?
Right now we're
about
talking about if it's the end of the
apocalypse
world.
and what happened to gaming and games you want to play before, if you were gonna die before you die.
Yeah, like
Huh.
what games you should play before you
Like
die.
something you've always been like, man, I'm really interested in that, but fuck that thing. But I'm
I want to
really interested in
complete Fallout 4 before I die.
it.
Fallout
You haven't
4
played
is
Fallout
good.
4, man? It's a really
I
interesting
couldn't-
game. I
That's
would
an
never
interesting-
take that away from you.
I don't have the patience to get through the first parts of it.
It is not, for me, loving what I love about Fallout, and Fallout 3 is my game. It's no longer a Fallout because there's only one. It's a one and done game, and for a Bethesda game, like if Elder Scrolls 6 is the same as Fallout 4, and people are like, oh, it's one and done, that's like a fall of something great. Because Fallout
Yeah.
4, there's not really anything different. Fallout 4, they were more hyped on the creation of Fallout aspect, and I'm not taking that away from anybody. People did a lot of cool stuff, and the mods are cool and all, but my whole thing with Fallout 4 is if you need mods to make it a better game, it wasn't a good game from the jump.
I enjoyed Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout New Vegas is a masterpiece. Fallout
Yes,
New Vegas
I,
is what the
I
original
agree with
Fallouts were. It's like how you can choose to betray Caesar's Legion, or take it over, or play the House and Caesar against each other. Lots of dynamic. Lots of
And
free-form gameplay of you allowed to... It was Fallout 3's engine years after it got a little bit old, so a lot of people didn't play it and it was a bit rough, but that game was because it was by the original guys of Obsidian. A lot of people don't even like what Bethesda did to Fallout because they acquired the Fallout license, and then for what I hate about Fallout 4 and 76 and onward is what PC gamers hate about what console kiddies like me did to Fallout 3 and things when Bethesda catered it to us and they brought back Fallout for a brand new generation. Because
I saw
Fallout 1 and 2 were on
nothing.
the
I saw
PC.
nothing wrong with Fallout 3. I saw
Fallout
nothing
3
wrong.
is I cannot say enough. Fallout 3 is up there with like BioShock and Half-Life and Fable 2 and Prey and Alien Hominid and Barnyard on the Wii for me. Like some of the best games ever fucking made. I started on Barnyard on the Wii, man. Like best licensed movie game ever fucking created ever. And Toy Story 3. Like for what, and I'm going off of purely what licensed movie games amount to be, which is just time release shit that has to come out at the same time as the product, because people go from, I saw the movie, I want to play the game, I want to be in that universe a little bit longer. And a lot of the times, it's just garbage that they rushed out. But there are some movie games, the licensed movie games, that are like, we're gonna make this, and we're gonna make a fucking awesome game. And Barnyard on the Wii is stellar, man. It's fucking, you would not believe how good that game was.
I mean, yeah, no, games these days, they're like, I remember a SpongeBob game now that I think about it. Holy shit. A fucking
You talking
SpongeBob.
about Battle for Bikini Bottom?
That was the best game ever.
Dude, that game is fucking... Dude, they had that game on PS4. They have it remastered.
Is that
I'm
the
gonna-
game where
actually-
you can run around and like catch, where you get to live as SpongeBob?
Where you could, yeah, you were like were you fighting a bunch of like robots and they had like ink and stuff in them and they were taking over and like...
It was
Plankton
like a
creating
third
them.
person. It was back on the
Yeah, it was
PS2.
third person. Yeah, it was on... For me, it was on Xbox. The original
Oh.
Xbox.
For me, it was the PS2, and it was, I don't
Dude,
know.
Simpsons Hit and Run. Did you ever play that?
Yeah, that game was good.
I loved that game. That was before I had
That
Grand
was
Theft Auto, or I was allowed to
before-
play Grand Theft Auto. So I
Yeah.
just had that. I always thought it was funny how like you got in the fucking passenger seat, and then
I remember
the
when one
civilians just drove
point
you around.
every game
You
was
ever
trying to
notice
be
that?
like Grand Theft Auto.
That's because Grand Theft Auto revolutionized the industry of seamless driving and third-person on-foot gameplay. Like everything before, like the Getaway Black Monday, and there was a little few more things like True Crime, Streets of LA. Dude, True Crime. If they did a game like True Crime, you ever play those?
No.
True Crime, Streets of LA, dude. You were a street cop in LA, and you literally could like bust drug deals, but then you could become dirty and you could like take the drugs that you fucking stole from guys, and you could become like strung out on the streets, and you could like start to lose track of the cases you were working on, but you were like having to like if they did those games nowadays with like graphics like GTA, that'd be fucking interesting as all hell.
Wait, can I ask about that game? Was it you could choose to go dirty, or could you stay clean?
Yeah,
Was
I
it
think
kind of like a path?
yeah, it was
You could
like
choose?
you could choose to go dirty. Like I think the things you did affected your path. Like if you say you busted up a drug deal, because I never owned it. It was like over at my cousin's house, my nephew's house, when we went over, and like it was before like you really started to take notice of what games were and what you were playing and what like you were just it was a game there and you were having fun, you know. And you're like, this is fucking cool.
I love games that were like that you basically choose your own path by doing certain things.
Yeah.
That was like
RPG.
any
but some
RPG,
game, there was some
Grand Theft Auto
games.
5 is very RPG, but a lot of people most people never played the fucking story. It's mind blowing how bored people can think they are of the online, and they never played
That's
the
the
story.
thing. That's the thing. Like, there's one game, Infamous
I'm
Second
bored of the
Son.
story. I've done everything in it.
Infamous Second Son. As far as back then, that game was graphically a good game, but gameplay.
Dude, that game was mind blowing, but it's pretty much just a launch game.
Yeah, no, but the thing is that, like, as the story and gameplay, I didn't really like the differences, because I did both endings, and to be honest, there was really no differences as to a game like Witcher, where literally you can cause the Black Plague.
I mean, that was how games like that always early were. They were like either like A
And you
path,
can
B
kill a
path.
king,
But,
like
if
you have the
embrace
path,
that,
you can do the path where
love
you
the
can
evil
kill a
path.
king, and then I never did that path though, I'm gonna do that
Second
path.
Son, the Second Son, the Evil Path and Second Son, because I embrace the fact that those games are just linear, like you do bad or you do good. But I look at them as like, I'll save that playthrough, so I went back, like, I got the game in 2015, and then I went back in like late 2015, almost 2016, and I did the bad playthrough, and I love the Evil playthrough way more because I got the DLC for Cole's jacket from the original Infamous, so I was going around as Delsin wearing Cole's jacket, and like he becomes so evil that like he hooks up with the neon chick rather than just being a blue-pilled like beta orbiter. Like it changes the story dynamic, so I liked it a lot more. But it also, the Infamous games get really fucking dark when you go evil. But again, they are just the original.
Well,
how games
no,
used
I
to
would
be.
say in the
Like,
original
you
one
just do
goes
a
dark.
path,
I don't know about Infamous Second Son though.
Infamous Second Son is very dark. You murder your brother.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And then
I haven't played it in a
fucking,
while.
Infamous 2, you murder your best friend and your love interest, and you don't even fail to stop the beast who's moving across the U.S. and you San Madrid or San? It was basically New Orleans. It was their version of New Orleans.
Yeah, I guess that is true, but I don't know. As far as the story though, I don't know. Because it doesn't
Yeah,
feel
man.
like
We're
it
talking
affected
about
the
Battle for
story.
Bikini Bottom. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, you could go from SpongeBob's neighborhood. You could go inside his house and his library, Squidward's house, fucking down the street to Sandy's house.
Yeah, and then you could go to, and then you unlocked later in the story. You unlocked like the Krusty Krab and fucking.
Yeah, do you remember the levels where you went to like Texas and you slid on those giant air slides over Texas with your tongue, and then you also went like to downtown Bikini Bottom or Rock Bottom.
Yeah, I remember Rock Bottom.
Was a motherfucker, man. Those collapsing platforms everywhere.
Yeah, or how you do remember the jump and back on the wall, like you'd fucking jump back and
Or
forth to
whenever you
go
went
up like
to,
a.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's lair.
Oh yeah.
I never ever solved the puzzle there with those buttons. How like they were in a circle and you press them, but if you press them in the wrong order, they keep. There was so
Yeah.
much shit, and again, dude, they up-res that game. I imagine that's all they did, really. That might point out how old it is, but still, and that's on where I'm like, they fucking made that, because I saw that the other day. We were talking about it. My sister's like, they have a what do they call it? It's like back in the bottom or whatever the like version of like Battle for Bikini Bottom or whatever on the PS4 or the Xbox One. So I was like, I will fucking definitely get that to play that game again. But still, I have too many games on my plate as is. So
yeah, no, and for the PlayStation 2 or Xbox for you, it was ahead of its time.
And a lot of times, oh, you remember the missile that you could do? He was like, SpongeBob in mission control, we're launching control, and you could shoot that bubble missile, and like it was like a first person.
No, I don't think I don't remember beating the game. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I remember the first mission though, where you had to find SpongeBob's pants or some shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Possibly, because there was. It may have been a different SpongeBob game, because I remember this one was yours. Do you remember that there was a bunch of like clones and robots, and like Plankton was making them, and it was like Battle for Bikini Bottom because.
No, I don't think it was that game.
The boss fights were like battles with huge mechanized versions of Patrick and SpongeBob and Sandy.
No, we're talking about different games and shit.
I'm talking about SpongeBob. I had one on the Wii. It was on.
It was very much like you live as SpongeBob, but yeah, you do go to rock bottom and shit. That's.
I'm trying to remember the one on the Wii. It was called SpongeBob.
No, it was on the.
Oh, it wasn't.
I'm about to look that up because I haven't played this game since I was a kid. So honestly, I don't know. We'll just look up SpongeBob games. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Most of the games that you only ever got to play as SpongeBob or any of the Nicktoons characters, like Danny Phantom or Jimmy Neutron or. Fucking,
I played a Danny Phantom game that was so good.
All those Nicktoons mashup games. Was it a Danny Phantom game or was it a Nicktoons mashup game?
No, it was Danny Phantom.
I played the Nicktoons mashup game.
I also played Invader Zim game. That game was cool.
What was it on? The Invader Zim game.
Hold up. I think this is the game.
Dude, the Harry Potter game for Game Boy Advance was awesome. That was like 2001, 2002.
I remember this game. I'm like looking at, because I've played multiple SpongeBob games now that I think about it. SpongeBob SquarePants, what's this one? Camera Pants, no, not that one. Okay. SpongeBob games. I'm looking for older ones.
I played a lot of SpongeBob games. I played the Curse of the Flying Dutchman on Game Boy Advance because we found that on the playground in the wood chips.
Did you actually?
Yeah, it was like back in 2000, fucking probably 2002, 2003.
Yeah, no, I remember playing. I don't know. I think I remember playing a Danny Phantom game.
And then I had SpongeBob Wrath of the Dirty Bubble on my DS. That game kicked ass. It was a 2D side scroller. Yeah, man. I still have my DS, but the only games I have for it was my DS guy. Bitch. I have Chinatown Wars. I'll never get rid of that. Still the original.
I think it is the Battle of the Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, man, Battle for Bikini Bottom. Yeah, I don't know. You probably would have been young then, but yeah, that's the whole thing for Battle for Bikini Bottom is that Plankton creates giant mechanized versions of you and battles you, and like he creates robots and like mechanized fish and stuff that shoot tartar sauce, and they're like different designs, and they travel around the levels, and you have to defeat them by like, I remember you would like spin and hit them, or they have buttons on their heads that you have to hit. You went from like Jellyfish Fields to downtown Bikini Bottom to SpongeBob's neighborhood to Texas to...
And you could actually walk through the town.
Yeah, you could. It was like being in the fucking cartoon.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so I think we are talking about
Imagine
the same.
Nowadays, that's the thing too that people miss out on so much. Whenever they make games, like they gotta be real, they gotta be photorealistic, they gotta be 4K. All I want is photorealistic. Dude, you could have a literal SpongeBob game on these consoles that would feel and look and play and be as immersive as.
You'd live in the cartoon. You wouldn't just play the cartoon. You'd live in it. That's the thing they miss out now.
Did you play any World War II modded maps, zombies?
I never did.
No.
I only ever got into Call of Duty World at War Zombies, and then me and my sister played a lot of zombies on the Wii U on Black Ops 2.
World War II? I meant World at War. Not World War
World
II.
at War, man. I never played any of the modded maps, but I got me and my nephew got to like Wave 26 on the iPod Touch version. Then we got to like Wave fucking I think 45 or something in the console. There was nothing like doing survival against zombies, man. You're just like, I'm fucking reloading, cover me! And like you fucking, somebody saves you just in time. You have to get downstairs to get another draw, and you get like twin lasers or fucking the instant kill or. Man, that shit was addicting as fuck.
Hey, I'd say we end this podcast pretty soon. What do you think?
Point being, listeners, is that there's a lot of games out there to play. Whether or not the game world is ending, you should go play them. You should immerse yourselves deeply in them because you could die tomorrow. A airplane turbine could fall on your house. You like that reference to Donnie Darko. And remember, life is a game you are going to lose.
All right. Thank you for anyone that watches after the stream. Thank you for anybody that watched during the stream. And we love you all. Thank you. Damn. The plug-in. We don't... You got more subscribers than we do. That's the funny thing. But fuck it. Yeah. Because this...